Hello and welcome to Films and Fandoms with Kaylee. Before I get started, APCO would like to thank its sponsors, West PA Systems, the electrical design build contractor for your 21st century home and business, and Dakota, the Du Bois Area Council of the Arts. Today, I am once again joined by my good friend Alex, and today we
I've got the giggles.
It's okay. And today we are starting a brand new series where we're going to be going through a show called Almost Paradise. And Almost Paradise stars Christian Kane, Acuña, and Samantha Richelle. And I must say, I do love Christian as Alex Walker in this series.
He brings a little bit of a different personality to each of his characters that he plays, and especially with this one.
It was
he did it so well. It blew me away.
I was kind of thinking when I first had seen, because this came out in 2020, I believe, and so
yeah, and
no, this is a few years after Leverage had ended.
Yeah, and the origin of this is kind of funny. Dean had the screenplay. Dean Devlin, who is incredible, had the screenplay written up already while Christian was still doing Leverage, and he's like, "I've got a part for you, but you're still too young for it." And Christian was like, "Okay."
Oh my god!
And I just thought that was funny, and I'm like,
so
you knew about it.
Keep in mind, he's 48.
Yeah.
Doing this.
And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of chuckled it out. I'm like, he said, but you're too young. Wait a few more years.
40? 39,
no,
40?
He was 38.
38.
Yeah, he was 38. And Dean goes like, yeah, I'm writing this new screenplay. I've got this idea for a show, but the character that I want you to play, you're too young for.
Because the character that...
And I was laughing so hard when he said that in an interview, and I'm like, you too young for a part? Please.
Well, it just kind of makes sense because, as we find out, basically the character that Christian Kane plays in this show, his name is Alex Walker, and he's an ex-DEA agent with hypertension. So
I would say not only does he have hypertension, aka a bad heart from all of the adrenaline fueled insanity that he dealt with, but
and I
he probably
suspect
has a little bit
of partially to do with an injury he got, which we'll go into a bit later. But
and I think he's got a little bit of PTSD as well.
Oh yeah.
When he when he comes face to face with his old partner. Oh, the one that I just want to punch in the face.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, we'll get to that.
In this episode.
We'll get to that.
It's in this episode that he's a broken man.
He is.
To put it lightly. But he plays it so well.
But
he plays the brokenness, that vulnerability so well.
What's interesting is the difference between Elliot, who is someone who hides what he's feeling as a defense mechanism.
He's got a barrier up.
Yeah.
He's got the way that I see Elliot is like he's broken, but in a different way. But he masks his brokenness. Alex doesn't know how to do that. He shows it all. He's like,
sleeves, yeah.
This is who I am. Deal with it, pretty much. Is what. And the fact that they actually filmed in Cebu in Philippines.
Yes, because this show takes place in Cebu, Philippines.
Yeah, and also in Mactan too, which is another small city that's like right next to Cebu. The Philippines played the Philippines is a character all its own
It
in the
is,
show.
yeah.
It's not just a location; it's a character
It's a
all its
character.
own, which
That's
I thought was really cool.
Yeah, because
I loved it.
you don't often see in TV shows where the location becomes a character. Though I will say that becomes more prevalent in episode 2.
Yeah. And I love that he starts out on the military base there at the hospital, which I thought was kind of cool.
So we should probably actually get into the episode. So
you want to start us off on how it like opens up?
Sure. So, well, first, the show's it's episode 1 of Almost Paradise is called Finding Mabuhay. Yes, that is, I believe, how you pronounce it, because that is how they say it in the show. So I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of these words wrong, or if I get a language wrong or something.
And I remember, I think I looked up the translation for that, and it's like finding peace or serenity. Is what it means,
or something like that. Because I used Google Translate, which
it was like finding the good life. I think is what it translates to loosely, which is what Mabuhay
because that's kind of
what it means.
And it makes sense because what Alex wants is like he's trying to find peace.
Yeah.
Because summary for this episode.
That doesn't happen.
No, it does not. Well, in its own way, I guess. But summary for this episode is when ex-DEA agent Alex Walker moves to a tranquil, out-of-the-way beach in the Philippines for his health. He's surprised to discover the area has developed over the years into a luxury resort. Despite his best efforts and against doctor's orders, he soon finds himself falling back into his undercover operative ways when he's pulled into a drug sting operation run by the local police department. The director for this episode is Roskin, who also produced and directed episodes of Leverage and Leverage Redemption. The writers for this episode are Dean Devlin, Eddie Quintana, and Gary Rosen. All right, so we open in Barcelona, Spain, 9 months prior, where we see Alex Walker, played by Christian Kane, part of a group of soldiers about to do a raid. They go in, and then we see someone who's enveloped in a shadow point a gun at Alex, and we hear gunshots. Which is why I suspect that part of his hypertension is from an injury.
I want to mention with that, with that opening scene, they're on basically it's a DEA drug sting operation. They're going into this location in Barcelona, and Alex hears something behind him, like someone standing behind him.
I think.
Yeah. He turns around, and then it goes white, and we don't know exactly what happened. Yeah. But in my mind, I knew he got hurt somehow. Probably either got knocked out or
probably part of
something
the
else.
Hypertension.
Yeah,
I believe
something happened to him there to get him where he is now.
Yeah, and we do go into a bit more of that later in the episode.
Later on, but that was my mindset. And then when they say it's a job-specific disability that happened, that makes me think, oh, he got hurt.
Yeah.
To where he couldn't do his job anymore. And that made me sad for him.
Yeah. Because we're about to see Alex is the type of person who needs I want to say kind of needs the chaos.
Yeah, he's addicted. Okay, the way that I thought of it is Alex was addicted to the adrenaline of being in that operative moment of undercover DEA agent getting the bad guy, playing a role, basically acting himself in a different light to get information and get the bad guy, basically, but without having that adrenaline and that excitement. he's going through withdrawal basically with this, and that's the damage.
That is an interesting way to look at it if you think about it.
That's kind of, and then because what brought that up was the speech with the character that we meet in a little bit, Kai Mendoza and Alex. Yeah. They have that talk, and he's like, and she said, basically quoting, "It's not the job that gives you the shakes. It's not the politics. Yeah.
It's the politics
that gives you the shakes. It's the politics and the bureaucracy that terrifies you, and that's why you say that you can't do it."
Yeah, and usually shakes are associated with someone who is going through some kind of withdrawal.
Yeah, he's going through basically with an adrenaline withdrawal, pretty much.
Which will explain some things that we see later. But continuing on, we cut to the American military base in Cebu, where we meet Dr. Patel and is giving Alex a checkup, saying since he's applying for a disability, he's required to have scheduled therapy sessions and medical exams to qualify. And Alex asks if she can still sign off for him so he can get his checks. But Dr. Patel says, assuming he makes his weekly appointments there for evaluations, and as she's taken his blood pressure. Alex says he figured with the American presence on the base, he might as well fulfill his requirements there. And Dr. Patel says his blood pressure is 180/90. Now, for some context here, for someone like Alex, normal blood pressure is around 120/80.
Yeah, and with me, I've studied that and stuff like that. That's high, especially for someone of his age, and considering his fitness and stuff, of how he maintains himself. He's pretty muscular, but to have that high of a blood pressure, that's not good. That's a sign that something's off with his heart.
Yeah. And now
he's so sarcastic.
Alex is like, that a good blood pressure, but bad blood pressure. He has that little shit-eating smirk I mentioned before. That didn't go away.
He was sarcastic. He was sarcastic with the doctor.
He was totally being a little shit.
Yeah. And the doc was blunt with him, and
it's not cholesterol, Alex. You got one, and it's too high.
And then she scolds him. The next little bit after that is she scolds him for not taking his meds.
Yeah, because she says the blood test showed.
Explain why.
Hold on. We'll get there. We'll get there in a second. She then says that the blood test showed he stopped taking his ACE inhibitors and vasodilators. Now, fun fact: ACE inhibitors, which are angiotensin converting enzyme, they help relax veins and arteries to lower blood pressure. So basically, it just allows for more blood flow, lowering blood pressure.
Yeah,
and vasodilators open blood vessels, which allows more oxygen in, and also helps lower, which prevents narrowing, which also lowers blood pressure.
Yeah, they basically work hand in hand to widen the blood vessels in your body so your body gets more blood flow and eases the stress on your heart.
Yeah.
Basically, to sum it up. I know this because my mother is a nurse.
My mom's a physical therapist assistant, so I actually consulted her for some of these, which I must say, coming up here, resulted in a very interesting conversation. Which, to be honest, if for those listening who know the type of person my mom is, you would know that is a very typical conversation to have at 8 o'clock at night. And I'm not even joking, because I got stories that I will not share on here because I'll probably get in trouble. Yeah, but anyways, basically, ACE inhibitors and vasodilators are what's really typically prescribed for high blood pressure. So Alex says the reason he hasn't been taking his meds is because he Googled vasodilators and 3 words came up: sexual side effects. And it's just shaking his head no.
He's like,
And apparently
nope,
it's a real thing. Apparently
I
it's real.
actually looked it up, and yeah, it is. It's legit.
Because I tried looking it up too, but I don't know if I just didn't get that far into Google or what. Because
I went to a
the standard.
I went to a medical, like a med lookup site, and looked up those 2 medications of like grouping of medications and their possible side effects, and that's what came up, and I started literally laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what you're concerned about, buddy? Really?
I know.
Instead of your heart exploding out of your
could literally like go to sleep and not wake up.
Yeah.
Like how
because
bad it is.
Yeah, because what happens,
more worried about like
you're below the belt problem. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah,
And
we'll leave it up.
Basically, yeah, what if you don't take that and you have hypertension, your heart, the pericardial sac, which is the sac around your heart that protects it, that fills up with fluid, and then your heart basically suffocates, and you die.
Yeah, so
it's a horrible way to die. I would rather get shot than have that happen.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't remember, when I was on Let's Go Steal a Podcast, and I was on the Unwellness Job episode for talking about leverage redemption, the Unwellness Job episode, where it deals with like the health industry and like herbal medicines and that. I'm going to repeat what I said when I was there. If you are prescribed a medication by a doctor for whatever reason it is, make sure
take your damn meds.
You take your damn meds as you are supposed to on doctor's orders. Don't be a dumbass like Alex. Take your meds.
Yeah, they're prescribed for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, take your medication, even if it's got a side effect possibility. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, it won't happen.
Because if like you have a side effect, like go to your doctor and make sure you get it taken care of, and but make sure you take your meds how you're supposed to.
And then if the medication's the issue, voice that to your doctor and see, hey, is there an alternative that we can try?
Yeah, because most likely a doctor will prescribe a different brand of medication if something's not right.
Like with me, before I got on my Adderall, I was taking the non-stimulant medication for ADHD, and my body was allergic to it. Oh. And I had a bad reaction to it. And I voiced my concerns, and he said, why don't we try this? I'm like, okay, I'm willing to try anything. I'm sick and tired of having gut issues. I'm done with the problem.
Yeah. So, long story short, take your damn meds. And of course, Dr. Patel scolds Alex, saying that if he didn't take them with this level of hypertension, his heart will become enlarged. Says he knows it's like a ticking time bomb. Dr. Patel says there's no ticking, just boom, heart failure, which is worse than penis failure. And they say that in the show.
His face was priceless.
Yeah.
He was like, did you just say that to me? How dare you? And that shows you how good of an actor.
Says you.
What? He had that wide-eyed look on his face, and I'm like, that shows you how good of an actor Christian is, because he can show shock in his
expressions at
I
times.
know. Sometimes it's inappropriate, but it's It's hilarious. It sells the character.
Like,
and I giggled, like literally.
I
was
did
laughing
too.
so hard.
So Dr. Patel then gives Alex a heart monitor where saying an alarm will go off if his blood pressure rises above 180 or if his heart rate goes above 170 and it immediately goes off, of course.
Yeah. And then when she puts that on his wrist, it's basically a Fitbit. I remember them telling us that, and it's like, yeah, it wouldn't go off, but when Christian would sit down, it would go off. And Dean would just look over at him. He's like, "You good, buddy?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm fine." He'd take it off and set it on the table.
So I actually do wear. Recently, I've been wearing a Apple Watch, which measures your heart rate, and so mine, when I get like really hyper, it will go above like 120, which is not really good. But that actually happened when I was at the movie theater watching Uncharted. The Uncharted movie, my heart rate shot above 120. And I was looking at like my heart rate over time, like my data for it. And it was like 157 when I was working at one time. So I think that might have been when I was just running around like an idiot.
Yeah, we have a couple of like little pulse oximeters that on the finger clamp measure your heart rate and your breathing.
The oxygen levels, yeah.
Yeah. And my heart rate at one point was 110 beats per minute, and my oxygen was at 95.
Yeah.
So I was experiencing really bad anxiety due to that. And then as I started breathing deeper, my oxygen levels went up, but my heart rate dropped, which is good.
Yeah.
And went back to a resting heart rate of 92.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel kind of bad for poor Alex having to wear that stupid heart monitor.
And
then where does Alex go after going to the doctor? Where does he go?
Well, Dr. Patel gives him a journal to record what's causing stress every time the monitor goes off, and then to avoid it. And then that's there. And that he says that 15 years ago, one of his assignments took him to an isolated beach on the island with there's no phones, no TVs, just he thought it'd be a good place to retire. So he sold what little he had and he bought himself a gift shop. And no stress, no drama, just peace and quiet. Oh, how wrong is he?
And
because,
then,
as we're about to find out, Alex's big problem is he can't leave shit alone.
He is a nosy Nancy, pretty much.
He is.
He's a busybody. And after he leaves the doctor's office, he goes to like this little cafe or like eatery or whatever and sits down at a booth.
Beer house. It's the brew house.
Yeah, beer house at a table. And
oh wait, no.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, he goes to the hotel and sees the gift shop.
Yep. And then
and that's when he discovers that it isn't just a small hotel like he thought it was. It was a huge resort.
And then we
meet Corey Santos, who is the manager of the hotel.
And his landlady. And I said, I wrote down, Corey is funny. And it's like, I love her.
She is
so hilarious and like straightforward.
So the Corey's telling Alex about how there's a lot of construction and it's the best resort in the Pacific. Alex says he doesn't understand and then gets nailed in the head by
with the freaking beach ball. And
so
the look of annoyance on his face.
And just the so done
He
face.
tilts
that
his head
Christian-
and just sighs. He's like, "Ugh, not again."
God damn kids.
Yeah, he had like the look of like pure annoyance on his face and was priceless. And I'm like,
Is. Anyways, he says he
I
doesn't
was in a
understand.
fit of giggles.
That was too, just the face. Alex thought he bought the gift shop outright. Corey says he bought the gift shop in apartment and the hotel owned land it sits on and she manages it. So they go to the gift shop where it is it needs a lot of TLC.
It looks like an abandoned building, pretty
It
much when you
basically is, like,
first walk in.
Things need
And
replaced.
dust covering
like
everything. There's
cloth.
tarps everywhere, and it's like, ugh. And I could smell the dust.
And
Literally, because I've been in places like that. And it's
yeah.
just it's disgusting. And then
Corey's
he
like, you fix, no problem.
and what happened? He stepped through the freaking floor.
Yeah, he crashes through the floor, nearly falling on his face. Corey's like, you'll fix, no problem.
You fix, no problem.
Now
And
it's
then
like, shut up.
he looks up like with a pure look of annoyance on his face. He's like, "How dare you?" And then he breaks the bed.
Oh yeah, he does because they go to the apartment in the back, and Alex and or he pays electricity and water. He gets from the hotel, and he pays twice a month. And if he's late, she cuts it off. And then Alex goes to sit on the bed, and it falls apart, sending Alex right on his ass.
And the heart monitor goes off.
And then we see a young man riding a motorbike along the street and meets up with some other guys. And the guy says, and I want to say it's Filipino, though don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But he says the bike, like it's an expensive bike. And the boy who we will learn is Kobe Rodriguez, played by Joe Vargas. Says that's how they roll in Manila, and asks if they're ready, and then we see a nice yacht. So they head to a very nice yacht, and everyone's sort of walking up, and Kobe warns them to let him do the talking, and they head onto the boat, and they're greeted by Tio, played by Will Devon. Tio offers Acuña a drink and says it and gets it for him, as Kobe says he'll take Hennessy. And
yeah, when Kobe and his let's admit it's a gang, his biker group, like come up onto the yacht and they are faced with him, I just got a bad feeling about it. I just got a bad vibe. I'm like, oh no, this is something's off here.
Yeah, because
I don't like the feeling of this.
Because Tio gets a glass.
I just knew.
Yeah, Tio gets a glass and shows him his block of ice that is apparently 10,000 years old. Then they got it on their last trip to Greenland. When he says he hears that this man's the one to speak to about local protection, distribution, and storage. Kobe interrupts, saying the boys are working for the Manila boys, and on the island that means him, and he kind of gets in Tio's face. Then Tio stabs him with an ice pick in the chest.
But yeah, but before that happens, basically he says, "Not anymore. You don't. You work for me now."
Yeah, and that happens
Will's
after
character
it
basically says, and
collapses.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, I immediately was like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen, and then bam, he gets stabbed with the ice pick.
Yeah, and basically Tio says the boys are affiliated with him, and they'll provide him local protection and access for his product before transshipment to the U.S., and then goes back behind the bar, asking if anyone else wants an old rock, which is the drink that the goon ordered.
Yeah, and they all looked kind of slightly panicked, which was kind of funny. And I'm like, yeah, you just
understandable too.
Yeah, it's like you just witnessed your head guy get stabbed with a freaking ice pick. and drop to the ground, of course you're gonna freak out. But I'm like, you're a bad group of people. You're bad guys. You're biker boys,
Yeah.
and you're doing dealings with basically a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Of course, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so we then see Alex at a stand buying paintbrushes, and he goes to pay for them, and we see Kai Mendoza, played by the amazing Samantha Richelle, and very beautiful, I must
She's
say.
awesome. And the ever awesome and slightly funny Ernesto.
Yeah, we'll meet him in a second. Yeah,
I know,
because
her partner.
Alex sees a beautiful woman. He follows her into the beer house, and they sit at a booth, and he goes to, or Kai sits at a booth. Alex goes to get his seat, and he grabs the he grabs the arm of a server, a female server, saying, "Hey, sweetheart, can I get a Jim Beam neat?" And bumps into her, and then she just places the beer down, gives him a look, and walks away.
And he's like, or beer, and just like
Though
sits
I
down
must
at
say,
the high top table.
yeah. Though I must say,
And
when he
I'm
bumped
like,
into her, because Leverage has me so conditioned. As soon as Alex
I
bumped
thought,
into her, I thought, what did
I
he
was like,
lift?
did you take something from her? It's like, what did you
Exactly.
take from her?
I thought
Did you
I
take
thought
a
he
pin or
lifted
something? Like,
something.
what was it?
Because Parker.
Yes.
And also,
And then it was funny. I'm like, great. Now that's gonna be in my head forever. Did you get scolded?
no, she just wanted to make sure. Like, I wish her good night. All right, continue on. So, so something else I thought about was we had the discussion about rule number 7. So,
AKA my favorite rule.
yeah, mine too.
My favorite rule.
There. We discussed the house rules. Okay. Rule number 7 says don't touch the women, but they can grab whatever they want to. But you do not grab the arm of your server or anybody for that matter, because
Without their consent.
Without their consent.
Without their consent.
Yes.
Because that can come across as being kind of like you're invading their personal space and they don't know what your intentions are. I've had that happen to me, and I said, "Can you please let go of me?" And they immediately saw the look in my eye, like, "I'm gonna stab you if you don't let go." And I literally did. I had a fork in my hand.
Oh no. Oh no.
Granted, it was a plastic fork, but still, I was holding it like a knife. And I just looked, it's like, "Can you please let go of me?" And he backed up and said, "I'm sorry, I just needed to ask you something." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" And I set it down. And I looked at him, and he's like, "Oh, can you tell me where this thing is?" And I'm like, "Right there."
Oh my god.
And
Were
I
you
just left
repeating,
it alone,
don't stab,
and I'm
don't
like,
stab, don't stab, don't stab, don't stab?
yes. I'm like, it's Wednesday. Don't stab. Don't stab. I was basically about to pull a Parker and stab him. I almost did.
Alright, continuing on. So Alex says beer is just fine. Then we see who we will find out to be Ernesto Alamares, played by Arthur Acuña, sit across from Kai, and we see what is actually a gun in Ernesto's the waist of Ernesto's like pants waist.
Yeah, his waistband.
His waistband.
And it's when he leans over, Alex can see the bulge of his holster.
Yeah, you see like the handle
waistband.
of the gun. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you doing? Like, those are cops."
Yeah. And Alex's monitor goes off. But then see Tio's voice beside Kai and Ernesto.
Right behind him.
And then
behind them, and it's like
someone else sits behind later, but
yeah,
Alex is like look away. This has nothing to do with you.
He's talking and stuff. It's like, this doesn't have anything
And
to
then,
do with you. It's like, don't do it.
and then he
And
sees the
then
hitter sit, or who we find out
right
to be a
behind
hitter, sit
Ernesto.
behind Ernesto.
Yeah. And he's like,
I'm
crap.
just starting to like this place.
Yep. And he sighs and then gets
And
up.
he gets up and picks
And
up
what
a
does he grab?
pool cue, and freaking walks up. Freaking, I'm a nice guy for so like attitude. Like, hey guys, how are ya? Listen, anybody up for a game of snooker?
And they're just talking.
Like, so, yeah. And
Where were we?
Alex went up to the booth and was like, "Hey guys, how are ya? Listen, anybody up for a game of snooker?" Which I do play pool sometimes, but I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it's a type of
It's a type of pool game,
I think.
I figured.
But yeah, when he grabbed the pool cue, I immediately flashed.
Like, oh, that's getting broken over somebody.
No, I flashed to Supernatural season 15, episode 7.
Yes, last call.
Yes. The bar fight between Dean and his
That was
Christian's
a good bar fight though. Like that was a legit good bar fight.
And he broke a pool cue on Jensen's arm and cut Jensen.
Because I know usually those are made out of like balsa wood, and it's scored.
Yeah, it's a breakaway wood. Yeah, it's a breakaway wood, but it can still be sharp.
Yeah, true. It's the same thing with like we talked about this with sugar glass.
Yeah, I could cut you open. And I literally have written the pool cue, and then in parentheses, oh my god.
Yeah, because
that popped into my mind.
Yeah, because freaking Christian Kane's character in Supernatural gets stabbed with the pool cue.
Yep.
Though I must admit, the funniest part of that scene is after they have a bit of a shootout. Dean's behind the bar. Lee is like around like the wall
behind.
and Dean freaking grab. This had to be a Jensen thing. It had to have been a Jensen thing because it makes the most freaking sense. He pulls a shotgun out from under the bar, freaking pumps it, says, "God bless Texas." It starts shooting.
Yeah, that actually was not scripted. That was Jensen and
because Jensen's from Texas,
and so is Christian.
Yeah, so is Christian. What?
He's like, well, like Texas and
it's like Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, technically both, but still, he's still a Texas boy. And
still, he's a Texas boy.
And then, like, he leans up and fires, and they do like 6 rounds. And Christian's got a freaking revolver.
Yeah, he's got a revolver. Dean's got a shotgun.
Yeah, and then they shoot off like 6 rounds.
And then they
he checks. And
Dean's
then Jensen checks for more ammo in the box.
And he's like doing the math. Like you can see him like doing the math, like
in his head. He's like, I'm out.
He's like, I'm out. And by my count, so are you.
Yeah, and he's like, and
he takes the shells out of the revolver,
opens it, and like goes like that with his hand. I'm like, that's actually kind of hot.
That was
literally when he like looks at it, he's like, crap, and flips it to where it shuts and just tosses it aside, and I'm like. And
then they meet in the middle, and that's when they have like the proper like fist fight.
Like, yeah, he's like, "You want to do the honors, or should I?"
Should I?
Like,
or you want a shot at the title?
It's like, okay, and they knock the table over.
See, that is what happens though when you get the freaking Oklahoma boy who doesn't know.
Texas. two boys who can't control their tempers together
Or
and
not
who
tempered, they just don't know how to
tough.
freaking control themselves.
Yeah,
Because
and the
they
fact
both
that they
go
didn't
freaking
have any
hard for
stunt
everything they
doubles.
do.
The fact they didn't have any stunt doubles doing this was hilarious.
Mm.
And then they go at it, and I'm like, I watched the behind the scenes, and it's hilarious when they have the mat and how hard Jensen hit the
Land
ground
on the mat.
when CK
Oh, they
tackled him.
went hard. They went hard.
And you could hear Jensen grunt underneath the weight of Christian. And I was giggling, and I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious.
See,
So yeah,
now
that's what
you know
popped
why
into my
John
mind when I saw the.
Rogers gave Christian Kane the nickname fucking Oklahoma.
That cemented it for me. And I'm like,
No, what
I was
cemented
like,
it for me was fucking dumbass. Freaking wearing cowboy boots. Freaking throwing the footballer.
and hurting
eating
himself.
shit.
He cut himself. He like split himself wide open pretty much.
He
And
did.
what did you say to me when I told you I slipped and hurt myself on an Easter egg hunt?
Oh yeah.
Didn't I learn from fucking Oklahoma?
That's exactly what I texted you was. Didn't you learn from fucking Oklahoma?
And I was like, nope.
Oh yeah, then I threatened to wrap him in bubble wrap.
And that goes to show you how awesome of an actor Christian really is. He doesn't let minor injuries bother him. I mean, he freaking sliced his hand open. Yeah, he sliced his hand open filming his Kane's Kitchen. And I'm like, ow. And then
yeah,
yeah,
I
he
haven't actually
hurted
seen
himself
Kane's Kitchen, though I will have to see season 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it to where I can watch it.
But it's probably
Well,
on YouTube
free, but-
somewhere. I just haven't looked for it.
Yeah, you have to rent it, and it's like $6 to rent it. But yeah, back to
back to the episode. So after Alex does this thing, Carl looks at one guy and looks at the guy who he learns Lodi, asking in Filipino like if he knows Alex. And the guy basically tells Alex to piss off as they're busy.
Yeah.
And Alex keeps freaking running his mouth because he's a dumbass. And says, like, where's all this Mabuhay I've been hearing so much about? And the guy straight up is like, you new here, bitch? Like, oh damn.
And I'm like, oh, you don't know who you're talking to. You better shut your mouth, boy. And I'm like, oh no, something that's gonna happen. And then Alex just kind of looks at him like,
yeah, easy.
The hell did you say to me?
Like, and then starts reading him like, you're starting to sweat, that vein on your forehead's starting to pulsate, your left hand switching, you breathing's erratic. I say blood pressure's what, 180 over 90? And Lodi tells him.
Then he leans in. And he says one of my favorite lines that I had written down. He's like, you don't want to die today, do you? And he was calm about it. And I'm like, oh, that's Elliot Spencer right there.
Yeah, because he's like, I didn't understand what he said, but what I did hear was your heart about to come out of your chest. And you may be on your way to a coronary or an aneurysm, which, for a bit more context, an aneurysm is basically a ballooning of a blood vessel caused by weakness in the blood vessel wall, and usually where it branches.
Yeah, it's basically a bursting of the capillary, the end cap on the blood vessels in your brain,
necessarily
causing bleeding.
Burst, but it's like a ballooning, and it can burst.
It's like a fracturing basically of it where it splits open.
Yeah, which actually,
to put it lightly,
I actually have an aneurysm myself because I had a coarctation of my aorta, which is basically my aorta was narrow from my genetic disorder, and I had to get a stent put in. And if you look at I had a 3D MRI done of my heart, and it's close, you can see the branches that formed around the aorta. I might send it to you. I don't know. I might send it to you to show you, but That's how it was, as you could see the branches, and that's what it was to fill in the pressure. But because of that pressure, I had developed an aneurysm.
Yeah, it's basically what happens is the pressure in the artery builds up so much that there's little cracks inside of that. Yeah, and then it splits off, trying to alleviate that so the blood can go somewhere. But that can cause internal bleeding if it were to burst and then cause more damage.
Bad. Yeah. And for the record, it is getting kept up with. So just thought I'd put that out.
That's good.
Yeah. And then
that's all that matters.
Yeah. And Alex is then like, leans in, and is like, you don't want to die today, do you? And that was Elliot. That was Elliot, you're right. So I'm like sweating.
Yeah, and then
and we get a bar fight.
Two of the guys get up, and then
Alex freaking down, kicks Lodi in the leg.
And then I said, I wrote down
another one with the
then proceeds. Yeah, and then he hits one guy in like the side of the shoulder with the pole stick, and then basically kicks Lodi in the shins and has him drop.
Yeah.
And then I wrote after that quote, I said, then proceeds to kick the guy's butt.
He does.
Which is true. It's what I'm like.
And
then what happens after that happens?
Basically, one goon gets is on the ground, and Alex puts his foot on the wrist, and you see he's holding back like a curved blade in the goon's hand. And Kai and Ernesto pull out guns and yell at him to freeze. And police, like, freeze, police. And you can tell that Alex is silently cursing himself.
He's like, not again.
Because he just kind of lowers his head, like, God damn it. And we head to the police.
Yeah, it was like a moment of getting caught by the principal for fighting. That's what popped into my mind.
Probably a bit like that.
Yeah, and then we go to the police station and not Khan.
And we see Kai and Ocampo are walking to the interrogation room, and Ocampo is reading off Alex's file or jacket. Then he's telling Kai that he got the file from a friend at the American Embassy, and Alex has spent more time under deep cover than anyone else in the Bureau. And he spent 2 years attached to Operation Eradication in the Golden Triangle, like Mexico, Colombia. And he spent 1.5 years in Spain doing a lot of redacted shit. And that he's some kind of legend.
And then Kai is like, well, what is he doing here? And he's like, they basically kicked him out.
And Cobb was like ex-special agent, and Alex went loco, and they gave him a 776, which means they kicked him out. So Ocampo, who's the police chief, I guess I should have mentioned that he's the police chief. So Ocampo and Kai head into the interrogation room, and Alex is writing in his notebook. Ocampo walks in and he's like, Agent Walker. And Alex like, puts his finger up like, hold on a sec. Like, be with you in a minute. And Kai's like, what are you doing? And Alex mentions
she basically stuttered.
Yeah.
And the look Alex gives her, like when he looks up, he's like,
it's hypertension
journal. That's so long. He says it in a way that makes me want to slap him.
He's such a little shit.
He makes me want to slap him in that moment, but I'm like, oh, it's also kind of cute too, because he's messing with her. And I want to know, how did Sam keep a straight face when Christian did that? Like, he did a little smirk and looked up at her and held eye contact with her. How did she not break? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. That's probably one of the takes we just haven't seen. They don't have a blooper reel. I just realized they never released a blooper reel yet. That is true. We need the blooper reel. Go to Ocampo asks why Alex didn't tell Kai and the other detectives said he was a DEA agent. Alex says it could have been his nerves because they were yelling at me. Kai says that he broke up a sting operation they've been working on for 3 months. And Alex tells her she's about to be killed, and he made Ernesto as an undercover as soon as he walked in the door. And he didn't want to get involved, but then he saw the hitter sit behind her in the booth and says that he was there to kill her.
He knew that he had to step in.
Yeah.
It's like they were there to kill you,
They weren't there to
make a deal with you.
Yeah.
They were there to kill him. And I kind of chuckled when he just said, when I saw the hitter sit right behind you in the booth, I knew something was off. And I'm like,
yeah.
Elliot.
Yeah, because there should have been a distinctive there somewhere. I just realized they never say like a distinctive.
I know. They said hitter, but they didn't say distinctive. And then they go on to talk about like the garrote wire and all of that. And like talking to him about it.
Yeah, Compass. And then sure. Alex tells him to check the back guy's jacket. In the left pocket's a garrote wire and a hunting knife.
And then in the right back pocket is what he said. And it's like in the right there'll be a hunting knife, and as he walks out, and I'm like, how would he know that? And then I thought to myself, oh, he's probably seen it before because he's a DEA agent, former DEA agent. I'm like,
probably saw the shape of the knife and the.
Or even the handle of the knife too, probably in the back pocket, and the shape of the garrote wire in the pocket, maybe.
Well, the cook boat comes back, and there's a knife in the garrote wire. And Alex points out she's never seen anyone around here using a garrote. Compass says it's impressive and asks Alex if he'd want to work for their department. Kai gets rightfully defensive and says they don't need help from outsiders. And Compass like puts his hand up like be quiet.
Yeah, and that for me, the way that she acted is like she's still a fledgling cop at this point. She's new to the force still, I could tell.
Yeah, she's trying to make her mark.
Yeah, and then Alex is like, yeah, you guys don't need me. You have plenty of detectives on this, so you don't need me. I've got issues.
Yeah, like I can't. Yeah, like you read my jacket. I got issues. Like I'm sorry for busting up your play. And Compass says from what is read, Alex has got a unique set of skills and experience that the local department doesn't have.
And it's like
they can use assistance. Then the heart monitor goes off again.
Yeah, and he's like, we could use your experience, and he's like, you've made a mess of this.
Yeah.
And you need to help clean it up. And I'm like,
no, this is like
in my mind,
orders. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I thought of when he said that. I thought of another show that I watch, NCIS. Gibbs rule is like if you make a mess,
clean it up.
Yeah, basically. And I'm like, it's rule number 8. I'm like, you just rule number 8 at him. How dare you?
Well, I mean, he does have a point. Like, Alex did mess it up, so it is kind of his responsibility.
Gotta help fix it.
Fix it. We then cut to Alex painting the door of the gift shop, and he's listening to a meditation tape, which, fun fact,
is the same one.
The meditation tape that they play in Alice Paradise. Well, actually, in Leverage Redemption, in season 1, episode 4, the Tower Job, the same meditation tape is used for a scene.
Yeah, but I didn't catch it until I rewatched the episode and I saw that and I'm like,
it's the same. I mean, it makes sense why they would use it.
Same damn audio, and I'm like, and Dean even confirmed it. He's like, did you hear the tape? And it was during the Facebook Live. He's like, did you guys, any of you like catch the meditation tape that Alex was listening to while painting the gift shop door? And Christian just smiled, and I'm like, where is this heading? And it's like, yeah, it was the same tape you used in Redemption. And I'm like,
yeah, with the I can't. That episode's gonna be a piece of work to freaking talk about Krista and
Ugh,
Jason. Oh,
bleh,
freaking
barf.
bitch.
But yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. Continue on. So, what's funny is the tape is like just as funny as the tape saying is the opposite of what's going on with Alex, because someone comes up from behind him and tries garroting him.
And then he like it's human instinct to try to grab whatever is being pressed around your throat. He grabs with his fingers the garrote wire and puts
Yeah,
his
he
hand
keeps
in
like trying to
between.
keep it off his
And
throat, but then he ends up using the paintbrush. He uses the paintbrush handle
to like push it away,
push it away,
basically to get away from it. And
to,
then
like,
he
by
beat the crap out of the guy.
Yeah, and then he runs off.
And the guy runs off, yeah, like, and leaves the garrote wire behind. So he's not.
But Alex, of course, has to yell at the goon for hitting the door.
Yep. And he's already gone, and he's like immediately grabs his neck. He's like,
Yeah, and then
he
picks up a revolver that fell.
Yep, and
make sure it's clear.
The garrote wire too. Yeah, and then the garrote wire too. And then puts it in his waistband and storms into the police station.
Then he starts like rubbing his neck, and he freaking growls.
And that was kind of cute.
It's kind of sad.
Honestly, I know. And he got like red-faced mad, which was also kind of adorable.
Yeah.
And then he storms into Ocampo's office.
Storms into Ocampo's office.
And it's like
the revolver on the desk. Is like, someone just tried to kill me.
Yeah. And it's like, explain to me how.
And Ocampo's like,
did that happen?
Have a seat. Alex is like, no, I don't want a seat. I don't want a seat. I'm gonna know why I almost had to wear an ascot for the rest of my life. And somehow word got out the ex-DEA agents on the island. I was like, what are you suggesting?
It's like, what are you playing at here?
Alex is so pissed.
He's so mad. And he's like,
unbelievable. You would risk my life to force me to help you. And he's like,
you'd risk my life so I would have to help you? I'm like, that's one way of doing things, and that's kind of sneaky and underhanded, but also
like, what kind of monster do you think I am? And Alex is like, how many guys you got?
Yeah, and I wrote that quote. It's like, how many guys you got? And his voice got so squeaky, and I'm like, oh my god.
That's how you know he's pissed, is when his voice goes up. Bitch.
Hold on.
And it compass kind of like chuckles, like, but like, you do have a point. Like, our compass says that their problem has happened from Alex's, and until they wrap this up, he'll be in danger. And like, we could offer to keep you locked up to protect you, or Alex is like, or I can help you solve this case. Compass says it's up to you. Then they head into have a conference room.
So we know that he agreed to it. He's like, he did. Fine.
Rikai's talking to a group of detectives, and Alex is writing in his notebook. And on the screen up front, there's a bunch of photos of dead people. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's like a murder board, but digital. And then
digital murder board, basically, is what it is.
And then they start talking about
how there's
drug connection to it.
Yeah, there's like been 6 gang related shootings and 3 dead from overdose. Or Kai's explaining all this.
Yeah. And what does Alex say?
3 dead from overdoses in the last 4 months. But ever since Frost hit the street, and it's a synthetic heroin derivative cut with speed, and it makes crack look like aspirin.
And that was like, in my mind, I was like, why would they manufacture synthetic when they can manufacture the real stuff?
Because the synthetics have a higher market value.
That, and also
because it's
they can alter
designer
the mix
drugs.
they They can
It's like
alter the mix in
ecstasy.
any way that they want. Yeah, they can make it. They can alter the mix, add like ecstasy or whatever to it to make it more addictive and basically
You get that
more
high.
lethal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how Alex kind of speaks up. He's like, "This is crap."
Yeah.
And Kai's like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah, because or hold on. We're almost at that point though.
I love
Because
that part.
this stuff is kind of important to like set up the rest. Kai continues telling they've now learned that the Manila boys have infiltrated and recruited 2 local gangs for distribution. Introduces everyone to Cabu Rodriguez, who did 6 years in Quezon City for drug peddling and assault, and he arrived on the island 2 months ago and dropped off the radar 2 weeks ago. And if they find him, they choke off the frost pipeline to the island. Alex, this is when Alex starts messing with his watch, like, it's crap. I was like, excuse me?
And she's like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "This watch.
Alex
It's a
like,
piece of crap."
he specifies he's talking about his heart monitor, like, it's crap. It works great, but it's designed to look like a Mikata, but it says made in China, and Mikata is an American brand, and to sell them, they make it look and sound homegrown, and it's really from the Far East, and when people find out, it drops the prices down, limiting sales and inviting unwanted competition. Which is kind of, and then Kai's like, I'm so glad you were paying attention. And Alex is now up front of everyone, kind of taking over this briefing.
Yeah, and I wrote down the DEA side of him and the knowledge of the drug ring and kind of like where this type of drug is manufactured.
Yeah, because
and he says there are 3 places.
Yeah, basically, before we get to where there's 3 places, Alex is saying that this has the look and feel of a local gang operation trafficking outside of Manila, but it's fake, and they're basically the drugs are intended for the U.S. Because like, you got all this from your watch. And Alex said that Kai said it herself that Frost is a synthetic heroin and Asia has the ability to manufacture synthetics in legitimate drug factories, and they basically smuggle it out before officials even know it's part of the infrastructure. And he also guesses that the ingredients are smuggled on the island and cooked here, which helps develop the drug and finance production, and it gets shipped to Los Angeles, Seattle, where it spreads. Kabu asks
And then it's
Kobe. Yeah.
nationwide.
Yeah.
And he mentions 3 places: Asia, Taiwan, and China.
China, Taiwan, and Malaysia.
Yeah, Malaysia.
And this is after Alex says
after they
Kobe couldn't be in charge of this because his attacker, instead of shooting him with the pistol, he tried garroting him, which means they're trying to make statements.
Yeah, they're
like
trying
they
to
said,
make an impression.
You want to kill someone, you don't, like when Elliot
go for the hardest. Yeah.
Where
go for the
future
easy.
job.
Yeah, for a drug dealer, the go-to to kill somebody that knows about what you're doing is to shoot them.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Or stab them or something like that. You don't go with a harder method like a garrote. You have to be really strong and pull that wire tight enough to hurt them.
But also that line reminded me of what Elliot says in Leverage episode, The Future Job. He says, like, you go to kill someone, you don't you don't put them in the back of the van. So, and there's a similar idea here with if you have a gun on you and instead you're using your garrote wire, there's a reason you're using the garrote wire instead of just shooting them.
Yeah, you're trying to make a statement. Yeah. And then he mentions a little bit, like a couple minutes later, he mentions the hunting knife. Remember?
Yeah. He also mentions about the hunting knife.
And because there's a picture of like a wound detail on like the cut mark or something, I think, on one of the victims, and Alex being the little shit that he is, because Kai says you can tell a knife by its wound, and like looks confused, and then because this is after like everyone kind of like disperses, And he's like, you can't?
Oh, yeah.
And in my mind, I went, it's a very distinctive wound.
It's very distinct.
And I started laughing, like full-blown giggles. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Elliot, get out of my head.
It's a good,
And I think Dean and the writers did that on purpose.
Oh, they had to have done that on purpose.
Yep. And oh my gosh, I am really, really pink. I'm blushing so hard right now.
To tune on, basically, Alex says he goes on some process of elimination, saying that the triads don't have the time or are about to risk coming to a high-profile resort island in the Philippines. So it's a matter of figuring out whether it's basically Taiwan or Asia. And then he leaves, then he comes back and he's like, oh, and I'm always paying attention.
And Kai looks so annoyed.
She's so done.
Really? Yeah. And Ernesto's kind of standing back toward the door a little bit, watching this. He had a little bit of a smile on his face. He's like, oh, this is going to be fun. That was just my mindset.
And so then we see them at they're doing a stakeout, or Kai, Ernesto, and Alex. Alex is in the bag freaking eating some sandwich. I don't know.
Yeah,
what exactly
it's like
is eating?
Something.
It looked like a sandwich.
Yeah.
On like flatbread or something.
Oh, it was like a gyro or something like that. It's a flatbread sandwich. And like, the freaking car that they picked for the freaking
most obvious undercover
on
car, which I guess is Alex points out later, but he says, like, guys, if it's already an established drug house, why don't we just go up and knock on the front door? And in my head, I was thinking,
you're
gonna get yourself shot, dumbass. Like, because he don't, like, what does he think is gonna happen?
Yeah, it's like, really, Alex? That's the undercover DEA agent in you coming out. Like, they're local cops. Follow their lead, buddy. Guide them. Mm-hmm. Don't try to take over.
And it's like, you're only here to observe and advise. So if you have something useful to say it. And Alex is
and
like,
then he,
hey,
and, no, like,
sorry,
yeah, Kai was like,
you.
Yeah, basically Kai says you're here to observe and advise, not speak up and annoy. And he's like, hey, I'm not trying to take over your drug operation. It's your thing. I'm just here to like help you. And I'm like, I was giggling like so hard. I'm like, dude, do you want to get punched by a girl? Because you're gonna.
Oh yeah.
She looked like she wanted to punch him.
Oh, yeah.
And then because they're outside of the car now when they say this.
Yeah. And Alex is like, what's up with Silent Bob here? Like, does he talk? And this is like, when I have something to say.
And he jumps. He's like, oh, what?
Like, hey, man.
And funnily enough, because bringing up the Silent Bob thing, when they did the Almost Paradise like Facebook Live, it did it again with my favorite guy Art. He had his mic on mute, and they called him Silent Bob. That was the running joke in the chat, and then Dean said it, and Christian just like lit up, and it was That's still the running joke. When I went back and
Yeah.
watched the final Almost Paradise thing, I watched it and I started laughing. I'm still gonna use that again, and I bet you they're gonna use it in season 2 again. Like,
Probably
they
should.
better.
They better. Yeah. Well, it's like so the gang leaves and they go and follow him. And they end up on this highway. Alex is in the back seat asking if this is the best car you could find. I was like, what? It's nondescript. And I was like, yeah, that's the problem. It screams nondescript. And Kai's like, does it defend your fragile sense of masculinity? And I was like, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is to never appear like you're trying not to be noticed, right? This is the resort island, man. People come here, they want to feel special. They want to be noticed. You know who doesn't want to be noticed? Criminals and undercover cops. And when you're surveilling, you don't want to look like either one. Rule number 1, forget you're a cop.
It's like, and then she responds with, like, that could ever go
Ernesto's like,
wrong.
forget you're a cop? How could that go wrong?
And I'm like, speak for yourself, buddy.
We see the bikes arriving at the yacht. And Alex looks through binoculars. In the parking lot, as we see the group enter, Alex says bingo and hands the binoculars to Kai. Kai asks if they're making the drop. Alex then moves the binoculars so she can see the Malaysian flag. And Kai realizes it's a group called the Gang of Four. And Alex says they're going up against some pretty bad guys. Alex,
Yeah, and the funny thing I want to mention about that scene right there when they're looking at the boat is the way that Christian grabs Sam's elbow and like lifts her arm up just a little bit and like held her elbow and lifted it up, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But for me, I'm ticklish, so if he did that to me, I would have punched him. I would have like flinched and slapped him.
Yeah.
Which made me think, like, what happened? Like, what happened in the blooper reel? Probably something similar. She probably jerked her arm away and hurt herself.
We need the blooper reel.
Yeah. That needs to happen, like, now. Like, please. Before season 2.
Ernesto points out they're leaving and asks if they should follow him. Alex says no. They're going to go on the boat. Because the car is saying, let's do it. Because Alex is, like, heading towards where the boat is. Like, what are you doing? Because, like, we're going to go to a judge. We're going to get a warrant. And we're going to do this right now. It's like, to do this right. And he kind of looks over at Ernesto and is like, nah. And he's like, all right, fine, we'll do it right. And then he's doing, like, the freaking pee dance. Like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go. Like, where's the bathroom at? Okay, I gotta go.
Okay, the funny thing is he doesn't say bathroom, he says head. And that's a Marine Corps term. That's a Marine Corps term for the bathroom. It's a Navy and Marine Corps term. And I caught that and I started laughing.
Thing.
Nope. It's the head is a military term for the bathroom. And yeah, now you do. And Ernesto kind of points off to the side, like, oh, back over there. And he's like, okay, thank you. And he just runs.
I'm sorry. I'll be a minute.
But that was just a guy.
And Ernesto are just like, this bitch.
The heck? What the heck is wrong with this person?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then we go to the boat where Tio is laying out on a couch watching soccer. 2 goons enter a duffel bag and he's like looking at like the watches. Tio's looking at the watches and it's like, I love it when people are propped. But he sees a bunch of cash in the duffel, and he takes the duffels and heads to his office. And he opens a cabinet full of guns, ammo, and cash. He closes the cabinet and he sees Alex just chilling in the chair, saying, "That's a lot of money." And he was like, "Who the hell are you?" And I was like, "Who am I? I'm just the guy you've been trying to kill."
And he says it so calmly too.
He does. Like, I'm just the guy you've been trying to kill. Like, then we see Alex sitting on the couch, 4 pistols pointed at him, and he tells the goon to put the guns down. The balance never sells anything, but he's also like tapping on his monitor and is like putting it up to his ear. Like, because he's expecting it to go off, I think. But it doesn't go off.
And I thought that was kind of funny. Like, okay, so now he's in this chaos, but I can see it in his eyes that his heart's probably racing really fast. But it doesn't go off. And then he stands up from where he's sitting. He stands up and looks at the goon face to face. He's like looking at him up and down pretty much. And it's kind of funny. And I forgot what he said.
Sometimes it does, doesn't it? And then Dio leaves.
Yeah, he's just kind of, he walks a little bit closer and he's like, he basically says, oh, time to say goodbye. Like, he wants to kill him pretty much. And he has a pistol. I look down and Alex looks down and he's holding a pistol in his hand pretty much.
Yeah. Ernesto and Kai are back outside. Here. Kai's digging in the trunk for a bag, and Ernesto asks if Kai thinks Alex is on the boat. Kai says she'd better badge on it. Then Ernesto says they'll just wait for him. Kai shuts the trunk and says that Alex said to look like you want to be noticed, and that's what she's gonna do. Kai's at walking the pier.
Kind of looks at her.
White bikini.
Ernesto kind of looks at her like, what do you mean by that? And like didn't say anything, but you can see it in his eyes. He's like, well, what does she mean by that?
What is she gonna do? What is she doing? But Kai's in a white bikini with a floral cover up, looking very good. And 2 grown-ass men are staring at her and are kind of like,
they kind of they catcalled her pretty much, and she handled it so well.
She looks at him like, what are you staring at? Then they walk away.
And then just walks away. Yeah, she like looked at him and then like
she gets a chuckle out of it too.
Walking. I know.
And then she goes on like the front of the yacht, of a yacht, and like lays down a blanket and sets up the comm equipment. And you can hear Alex running his mouth.
Yep.
Oh, because he says about like, it's kind of a bad stereotype what he says. Because he says about like, is it true you eat dogs? Because I just didn't know if we were serving lunch. Which is kind of not cool to say. But I don't know exactly why he said that. So that line kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
It was a little bit weird.
It was. Continue on. And then Tio gets in front of Alex and says he has 30 seconds to convince him not to kill him. Max is like, kill me? You're gonna want to kiss me. He says they're gonna go into business together. He was kind of amused, like, business? Really? What kind of business would I be doing with an American DEA agent? No, it's like ex-DEA. I've gone rogue. Which that line made me think of with Sophie and the 11th episode, The Frame Up Job, when Sophie's like Sterling says about like my favorite art thief on the premise the day a painting is stolen. So it's like ex-art thief, ex. Like they never remember the ex. Because
I
that's
thought
like
that
a
was
running
funny.
joke in both
And
Leverage
then
and Leverage Redemption is they never specify X.
Maggie says something similar to Nate too. It's like
And
ex-wife. You forget that part.
there's it's Sophie. Sophie's with her. And so it's like, because Nate's like you brought my wife into this. Sophie's like, ex-wife, Nate, ex. Like, it never says ex. And Maggie's like, well, I say ex. I love Maggie.
Me too. She was awesome.
All right, continuing on. So Tio asks why he would do that. And Alex points to his heart monitor and says, hypertension. And Tio points out that Alex is not a criminal. Alex, he kind of has a blank look on his face now. And he tells Tio that for 15 years he's been in the weeds watching guys like him get richer and richer, and guys like him only get beaten, broken, and for nothing. And he's been in the losing end of the drug war for way too long. And then Tio said, like, what? So what? You're the Benedict Arnold of the U.S. drug enforcement. Alex says he likes to think of himself as more of a LeBron James, using his talents where they best fit. Tio's moves is like, and he sits down opposite of Alex and is like, you earned yourself another 30 seconds. Sell me. And Alex stands up.
Yeah, and then it kind of gets tense for a little bit after that, like, little bit of a comment, kind of like, kind of made him chuckle and like sit down and kind of relax. And then it gets tense almost immediately.
Yeah, because like supply and demand, right? Like and that Tio can make great quantities of supply, but it's going to cost him a fortune to reach the demand, which is where Alex comes in. And he tells Tio that he isn't the only soldier that realized this war on drugs was a joke, and he has a network of current and former DEA agents at the highest level that can move his stuff into the U.S. and make officials look the other way when his cargo hits the dock. And he's now standing in like the divider between like the bar and the living space. And he's like, gentlemen, I'm your free pass to the American market. Tio says it sounds
And that was
expensive.
funny.
Yeah. That's the way he does
And
that, because he has his like arms out like, gentlemen, I'm your free pass to the American market.
yeah, and for a second, Teo doesn't really buy it. Like,
No, he
in
does
his
not,
eyes,
because
but
it's
then
like, sounds expensive.
he's like, it's like, it sounds expensive. It's like, yeah, no. Like, here's the thing, I pay you, not the other way around.
Yeah. And
It's a
Tio's like,
partnership. And I'm
how
like,
does that work?
and I was thinking, yeah, how does that work? And also, this could go horribly wrong in so many ways.
Yeah. Alex reiterates saying that like they're on the same side, and he doesn't want to work for him, he wants to work with them, and he says these guys know all the player and can reach the demand, and he just needs access to his supply. And Tio's like, so you buy drugs from me, sell to the US? And I was like, yeah. Tio's like, how are you getting all this money? And Alex says the money comes from Tio's competitors. Tio asks how, and Alex points out he has access to seized mountains of money, cash from the evidence lockers, basically. And Tio asks if Alex is really ex-DEA, what was he doing at the beer house? And I don't think Alex thought this far ahead, because he has to take a second. And it's like, man, I was trying to contact you. And like, I've been trying to get a hold of you. And then you send your errand boys, and they're ready to get ready to kill a couple undercover cops. All right, I had to do something. Like, I want to work with you. I do. But I can't with every cop on the island. Like, you can't have every cop on the island having a personal vendetta against you.
basically it's like, yeah, I wanted to reach out to get a partnership with you, but I couldn't do that if every cop wanted to murder you and put you behind bars. So I did what I had to. And that was kind of
Yeah.
smart,
Mm.
but also kind of stupid at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's good
Which is
improv,
weird.
though, at least, but on
Yeah,
Alex's part.
but okay, it's better than what Sophie would have done.
No, Sophie would have. Nobody can beat Sophie. Okay? Nobody can beat Sophie. Okay, Sophie freaking trained Elliot. Sophie's
True,
the best.
but still, she's bad at acting, but
No,
can do
no.
improv pretty well.
Yeah.
But even she probably couldn't handle that sort of pressure to think on her feet like that.
She could, probably. I think she could, but
Depending on the situation, maybe.
Alexson looks out the window and he sees Kai. And I can't tell if his face is like, oh shit, I got caught. Or his face is like, okay.
What
Like,
the hell is she doing?
like, okay. Kai's here. Now what do I do?
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, oh crap. She's gonna get spotted and I'm gonna get probably murdered. Is what was going through his mind. In my mind. I was like, he's probably thinking, oh crap.
Tio asks Alex how soon he can get his hands in the cash. Alex is like, how does tomorrow sound? And how does Twitter this, and asks if 2 million sounds like a good start. Tio suggests they have a drink to seal the deal. Alex accepts. And they head over to the bar and Tio opens the decanter. Then walks over to this hunk of ice, telling Alex it's over 10,000 years old. And Alex comes up over with 2 glasses. Tio has some ice, or has the ice pick and is like getting some of the ice. Then he puts a chunk in it in the glasses and pours some of the, I don't know if it's like whiskey, if it's scotch, or if it's,
I think since it was poured over ice, I think it was scotch.
it might be
But
scotch.
I could be wrong.
Or it might be
He
something
pours
else
some sort
entirely.
of liquor in
know.
the 2 glasses.
I
He
don't
pours
know my
some
alcohol, so
yeah, he poured some alcohol into the 2 glasses.
yeah, basically it's alcohol.
And then
And
I think
Alex
it's at this point.
Yeah, because Alex
that
goes to like lean
Teo,
over to sniff to sniff it.
which was weird,
But and
funny.
then as he's leaned over, Tio puts the pick at like the base of Alex's neck, like just sets it there, and you can see Alex immediately like tense up.
Yep.
Because he probably felt the cold metal against the back of his neck.
Yeah, and then Teo says, "You want to see what happened to the last guy that tried to betray me?"
Yeah,
and he's so calm about
he
it too.
disappointed me.
Yeah,
and then
he was so calm about it too,
pulls
and
Alex
it freaked
by the
me out.
collar though to like get him standing up. And then 2 guns open like cooler that's underneath the ice. And we see the frozen body of Kobe Rodriguez.
With the ice pick still in him.
No,
by the way.
I didn't see the ice pick. I thought
no, it was like the handle was like resting on his chest.
I didn't see that.
But yeah, he was like,
I think just the fact that I saw a body was enough, like,
and it freaked Alex out, which was hilarious.
It did.
Like,
it's not well. Because like Kobe was like young, and I think because I'm so used to seeing projects with Christian Kane, none of that usually don't involve bodies. Like anytime a dead body is involved in leverage, it's like, oh crap, the stakes are now higher.
Yeah, but with this is like oh, this guy is willing to kill to prove his point.
Yeah, like this guy is willing to kill left, right, and
And
center.
you know who I just
So-
thought of?
Hmm.
Just guess. Just guess who I just thought of now when I said that. It's a certain somebody that Elliot knows.
Quinn.
Mm-mm. The guy that he used to work for.
Oh, Moreau.
Yes. Moreau would do anything,
He would.
including kill, to get his,
Well, Moreau wouldn't do it himself. He would just have someone else do it for him.
like Elliot.
But, yeah, like Elliot, exactly.
So it was like, okay, so this guy's willing to be basically a hitter and kill to prove a point.
He's willing to do the dirty work himself. Like,
Yeah, he's not afraid to get his hands bloody if
Yeah.
it needs to prove a point to keep his boys in line. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't like this guy already.
I don't either.
And then in my mind, I was like, can I hit him?
Yeah.
It
The
was funny.
TOS house, like you won't disappoint me, right? That we don't actually see Alex's response, but we then see him walk in the parking lot. So
And what happens when that
Ernesto pulls
body slammed him
freaking
against
body
the car,
slams Alex against one of
and
the
he gets
cars.
him into a
because
reverse
you're
arm bar.
surprisingly strong. And this is like
And he's like Pilates.
Pilates. Kai
And then
comes
Kai
over.
goes, yeah, and she's pissed, and then she's like,
And
what
she's
the
like-
hell was that?
Like, why shouldn't I arrest you right now? Like, tell me why I shouldn't arrest you right now. Sorry. And then Alex is like, because tomorrow when he buys the $2 million worth of drugs from me, you're gonna close the biggest case of your entire career. So they reluctantly agree.
Yeah.
And so they go back to the station, and Kai, Alex, and Ernesto are walking to a compass office. Kai's like, where are we supposed to get $2 million in cash? And Alex is like, I gotta think of everything. Like, I set up
That
the
was
buy.
funny.
You guys gotta do the rest.
Yeah. That was
And
funny.
they walk in, and now a compass office now looks like an HQ. There's a table that has 3 people surrounding it, with like a laptop. You see there's agents are surrounding the Campo's desk, and they're basically planning this bust. And Campo introduces Agent Zivic to Kai.
And
Then
when
Alex
well,
sees Zivic
yeah,
and stuffs right in
yeah,
his tracks.
and like he freezes. But before that
does.
happens, they walk in, and I see DEA on the back. I'm like, wait a minute, that's probably one of his former partner slash like guys that he worked with, and I'm like, I have a bad
And
feeling about it.
Zivic-
As soon as he stood up,
Mhm.
as soon as Zivic stood up, I was like, ah, crap.
Yeah. Like, here comes the bureaucracy.
And then I wrote Agent Zivic equals jerk,
Jerk. He is a jerk.
and that's putting it lightly.
Mm. And Zivic's like, Zivic says they'll be taking the case from here, as Tio is an international criminal, which is beyond their jurisdiction. And then Zivic stands up, says his team will be running the fresh investigation going forward. Then he looks at Alex and is like, Alex Walker, I bet you thought you'd never see me again. And then Alex's monitor goes off.
Yeah, he looked too like frustrated to say anything, so he just like turns on his heel and storms out. And he almost had the look in his eyes like, I want to punch you and hurt you, but I'm not gonna do it in front of these cops because they're gonna arrest me.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna leave. Is what I got from his face and also his body language. Which
Because,
shows you
yeah,
how good of an actor Christian is of like portraying that
The
emotion
subtle
of just
moment.
frustration.
Mhm.
Yeah, that just frustration, I guess you could say it was. Also disappointment too, having to see a ghost of his past, pretty much.
And also disappointed, like he's like now has like he's not gonna like Kai and Ernesto are now not gonna get credit if like he doesn't get involved. So I think there's the disappointment, like he can't like get out of this now.
Yeah. And leave them high and dry.
Yeah.
And then it's like
He's
there's a little
starting to like
skip
these
after
people.
he walks out.
Yeah.
There's a little time skip there. And I want to know what happened during that. Like to him. Like what was he doing? Specifically, like exactly like what was he doing?
Like in between Spain?
No, like after he walks out, and it kind of cuts. It doesn't cut to a different scene, and I'm like, I want to know what he was doing.
Okay. So after the monitor goes off, Civic and Alex, we then see Alex and Civic are sitting across from each other, and Civic asks Alex, it's like, if you didn't want to help, then why did you set up the buy? And Alex like, to help them, not you. Now, I hate this line, and I'll tell you why. Because Civic says, oh, what? So you hate your country now? I hate that line. Because
It's basically it to me. I kind of dislike that line too. I wouldn't say I hated it, but it
I didn't
was
like
like
it.
it was like a pin in Alex. It was like a thorn in Alex's
It was
side at that
petty.
point. It's like it's basically an underhanded way of him saying, "Oh, you're basically betraying your country now for these people."
Like just because you're being pissy about me taking control over this op, so now like you hate your country because you can't because these nobody cops aren't gonna get credit for an op that was ours.
Yeah, and then he says something along the line to put another nail in Alex's side, basically saying, I could make your disability payment with the government go away. Yeah, basically threatening to take his money away from him.
Yeah.
And that was rude. And I was like, I hate you for that. Like that's too far. It's too far to push somebody. And even Alex got annoyed. You could see it on his face. He's like, oh heck no, you're not doing this to me.
And it's also like it's not like Alex hates his country. Like he obviously cares about the people. And like he cares about people. But what gets him, as we see kind of reiterated throughout this episode, is he hates the bureaucracy that prevents the progress.
Yeah.
Like that's what Alex doesn't like, is the
bureaucracy. Yeah, the bureaucracy gets in the way of bettering the country as a whole, pretty much.
Because like if I didn't like that line. And Alex still stays silent, and then Zivic leans forward and is like, listen, Walker, I don't want you involved. I don't trust you. And I know what happened in Spain with Todd Carpenter. I know about your little episode afterwards. Is it what episode? I guess what I'm confused is what he means by episode. Like,
yeah, me too. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, maybe he had like kind of like a panic attack, pretty much from just of what happened.
or like
kind of like a PTSD episode, pretty much. I think is what he was talking about.
Or because
the adrenaline went away pretty quickly after that bust happened, and I think that's what Zivic brought up. And this is funny. The actor who plays him is so nice,
but
his character is so mean. His character's so mean. It's like, how could someone so nice play someone so mean? And even Christian said that. It's like, yeah, I hate him, and he introduces him, and I'm like, why are you so nice? Oh man, no, I kind of like you now. Dang it!
Nah. Right, so Civic continues saying he doesn't have a choice because Alex has already made contact, and they need Tio. Alex's monitor goes up again, and he kind of like covers it with his hand, and it's like you can see his like lip quiver a bit.
Yeah, and
Before he says
when he
this,
does
he's
that,
like, I want a clean record, and I want special.
I don't want having to have a doctor sign off for me to
It's
get
like,
my
I
check.
want special
Basically, it's like I want
attention,
full.
not disability.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah.
want doctors to have to sign off for me to get my checks. So
And it's like, okay,
I'll make it happen.
he agreed to it, which is weird.
Like,
But the
make it
thing
happen,
is,
and I'll call Washington after the bust, and we'll go at 1100 hours tomorrow, which I believe is 11 a.m.
yeah, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and
Agency.
yeah, before he says the thing about wanting regular payments, his hand, when his monitor kind of beeps and buzzes, his hand, when he goes to cover it, it's shaking so
It shakes
violently that he has
slightly.
to cover it and clamps it down. And I'm like, are you okay?
He's
Are you
not.
sure you're okay? And I'm like, oh, he's about to have another like episode pretty soon if he doesn't get out of there away from his past.
Yeah.
Trigger, basically, is what it is. He's basically almost having a PTSD episode. And I actually, speaking of PTSD, my character in my story that I write, Mac, she just recently, in this newest chapter I'm getting ready to post probably later, has a PTSD episode so severe that she violently was.
Oh my god.
So, and that I found out is actually true, because in some cases PTSD patients who deal with it so violently, even our veterans who have it, they can get the shakes so bad that they can't even be in a chair. They have to be laying down because it's so bad.
Oh my god.
And I thought that in that moment, I thought Alex was gonna either do one of two things: either pass out or get up and punch Zivik in the face.
And he kept it contained.
But yeah, and I admire that. He kind of kept it kind of controlled, and he squeezed his own wrist to kind of ground himself, I think, and just kind of leaned back and tried to breathe, which I thought was kind of cool.
Continuing on. So it's the next morning. We see Kai heading to the gift shop and is calling out for Alex, saying it's time. Then she goes to knock on the door, and the door cracks open, so she immediately gets out her gun and heads in. And of course, she's sweeping the place, and we see liquor bottles on the floor. And
they're like the
shop.
little mini bottles. They're like the mini bottles, not the big ones.
And they're more like medium, I think, but
yeah,
they're
but
still
they're
the
smaller. Yeah, they're small, and probably at least like 20 something there. And I'm like, great. I just knew.
Yeah. And then Kai makes it to the bedroom, and we see Alex is passed out in the bathroom, on the bathroom floor, and there's some more liquor bottles around him. Then Kai must have filled up the sink, because then we see her just dunking Alex's head in, and he wakes up, and he sees Kai in the mirror.
He says, "Oh hell no!"
Oh hell no! And he tucks his head back in, and then Kai pulls him out. It's like,
and she has him by the hair.
She does, and then throws him on the toilet.
Yeah, and funny thing was is when he says, "Oh hell no." Yeah, when he says, "Oh hell no," he looks up and he kind of squints. His accent came out. CK's accent came out, and I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of cute."
He does, but
and she goes, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And she gets mad, and I'm like, "Oh, she's so little."
She's pissed.
And I'm like, "You're not frightening at all, but that's kind of cute that you think you can get that mad."
Alex, you should know this. There's nothing scarier than a pissed off smaller woman.
True. And then their conversation, once he kind of calms down a little bit,
Alex says,
it gets sad really quick.
Yeah, it does. But before we get there, though, Kai's is like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And people are counting on you. Alex is like, "It doesn't matter." Kai's like, "We're a couple hours away from taking down a major drug trafficker." And Alex is like, "It doesn't matter." Because we're gonna sober him up and we'll bring you back. And Alex, his yell, he stands up, is like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if we take down Jimmy Toe or not. And he leans against the rest. Then he leans against the dresser, and then he kind of like, and then he's like, you know how many people I've seen fight in this idiotic drug war? And for what? We arrest them, they're right back home in the streets in a couple of weeks, traded for some political favor, or they're like their boy Tio, a paid asset or whatever. And like he turns around and he has to like catch his breath as he sits on the dresser.
Yeah,
And
and I wrote his little drug war speech, and I was like, I was speechless, and I also kind of saddened that it's like that's how he feels. It's like the war on drugs, it's an endless cycle. There's no way to break that final link going on again.
yeah, because
Guys
it's
like
like a
him, they're gonna
self-serving
go to jail
cycle.
for like 6 months. Yeah, it's like guys like him are gonna go to 6 months in jail at most for this. And
And then
then
they'll
the
be right
cops are
back on
fighting
the street
yeah.
doing the same
And then
damn thing.
and then his little thing of like the veterans of the drug war, we don't get a homecoming parade. We get nothing. And I was like, ow, that hurt. But that's the reality,
It's
because
true.
that's the truth. And it that cut so deep, and you can see the looks on her face, like oh,
it's like she didn't
she realized
realize like
how bad it was, pretty much. And then they kind of have a little bit of a back and forth conversation, and he mentions his old partner,
Todd Carpenter. Yeah.
and he's like, trust me. Yeah, Todd Carpenter was one of his partners that he could trust.
His partner.
He's like trusting.
Yeah.
The sad part was, is like he says, trusting my partner was the only thing that I had. What do I got now? And he's like basically borderline crying, and I was so sad. I was like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah, but
that really, really hurts.
Yeah. And we also get more of what happened though in Spain, because Alex says like Todd Carpenter is one of the people who cared too much. And after watching everybody walk again and again and again and again, they got to him, so he switched sides, and to prove he was legit, they gave him an assignment, which was to kill Alex. And she's kind of shaking. It's like, but he didn't.
And he's like, but he didn't. And then it's like, didn't he? And in a way,
so sad.
That his voice broke again when he said that, and the look on his face. In a way, yeah, he's like, trusting my partner was the only thing that I had. What do I got now? His voice broke. His voice broke, and that made me go, oh no. And I was like, I'm sad to piss, and I'm like, oh, I hate his former partner so much.
Yeah. But that, like, if there's one thing that CK can act very well, it's these like heavy moments. Because the other moment this made me think of is when he on Leverage, the Big Bang job, when the team finds out that Elliot worked for Moreau, and it's after Elliot and Harrison have met with Moreau, and they go back. Harrison's and like Elliot says they got the invite, and Harrison's like, tell them. And Elliot says like he got the invite and he'll get him the location for this auction the next day. And Harrison says that it's like, hey, Elliot worked for Moreau back in the day a lot. And Harrison kind of gets in Elliot's face and he's like, tell them. And then Nate gets pissed, like, you telling me
what? Say what?
Like, you telling me you've been chasing Moreau for 6 months and you just snapped, what is this? And the whole time Elliot's trying to say that like like I was trying because I didn't want to do this. I was hoping that's to like we could work the way around this. And Nate's accusing Elliot of like holding out so that like he was still working for Monroe. Like, and Elliot's like, I was trying to protect you. And he finally like yells that. And he's like,
kind of like
we're out of our
finally
league, Nate.
broke.
Every
And
one
he's like,
of Monroe's men has innocent blood on their hands. Every one of them is worse than me. You think I know? You think you know what I've done? The worst thing I ever did in my entire life, I did for Damien Monroe. I'll never be clean to that.
but yeah, and then
And
later on, during that same scene, Parker kept asking him like, "What did you
Parker's
do,
like, what
Elliot? What did you do?" And he's like,
And I was like, don't ask me
"Don't
that,
ask me that,
Parker.
because I'm
Don't
going to
ask
tell
me.
you."
Because I'm going to tell you, so don't.
And he's basically pleading with her not to, and you can
Yeah,
see it
but
on his
this
face, like
scene
he's
to me
about
has
to
that
cry.
same energy as that scene, though.
Yeah, and it's like that same emotion, that same like, I'm doing this, I'm withholding this information to protect you guys because I don't think
It
you guys can
also
handle
was
my crap.
It also kind of
Pretty much.
reminded me, now that I'm thinking about it more, it also kind of made me think of in season 4 of Leverage, The Last Damn Job, when Elliot tells Nate, like, you don't know how this is going to change you, Nate. And Elliot's like, you learn to deal with it. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, it
yeah,
was the line.
but
Yeah, it's the
you
line,
have no
something
idea who
along the
I
lines.
was before all this.
Yeah, it was like the line with like 2 men. When you shoot somebody, 2 men die. The man you used to be and the person you kill.
That the main segment that I was thinking about was when he was like, hey, you have no idea who I was before then. Like that guy, that kid had got his heart and a flag on his shoulder, and I ain't seen him in the mirror in over 10 years. And I look for him every day.
And that.
But to me, these 3 scenes all kind of have similar ideas of
that
like
same
looking at the past, yeah,
and that same emotion running through all 3 of them. And I want to know what CK like drew from to get that emotion to be so raw and so visible and so believable.
Honestly,
That would be kind of cool to figure it out.
I wouldn't be surprised if he tapped into Elliot a bit for that. Like
Probably,
the idea
maybe.
of like working for a broken system and being like,
yeah. And I mean, that sort of tagline of like working for a broken system and being ultimately broken yourself is too close to home with what our government is now. And I'm like, I can relate to that, seeing that around. Yeah. And it's like so real. So I can see where the writers and Dean pulled from for that. And I thought that was really cool.
Continuing on. So they're now, or Alex is in the passenger seat and Kai's driving and he's looking out the window and he's still kind of upset. And he's like, Kai, I can't do this. I'm sorry. Can you please take me? Like, can you take me back, please? And then Kai takes him to a street. They get out and Alex asks, like, Kai, what are you doing? And Kai says her cousins grew up in this town and it's 5 blocks long. And she says about a girl named Lucy Reyes who was 9 when she was shot and killed, and like she points out the corner where she died, which is from a stray bullet in a drug deal gone bad. And 3 weeks later, her older brother was stabbed in a robbery at the end of the block.
Yeah, and then she mentions her mom.
She's a spiritual leader and beloved by the community. And when she died, it was the only thing she could think of to honor her was by becoming a cop.
And that kind of, like, for me, that kind of brought to light with Elliot. He's like, the way that his dad was a loser, pretty much. It's like, this is the only thing that I can think of to become a soldier, to get away from my dad and who I'm gonna ultimately turn out to be if I don't get away.
Mhm.
And that same brokenness is right there with Kai, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're nothing like what your mother left behind. You're not broken. You were
Mhm.
stronger now. Lost.
And I think because episode 6, I think, goes more into, yeah, it's episode 6 that goes more into about Kai's mother.
Yeah, just a little bit because it's the case that they're working then
Is
connects
related
to
to
it.
her death, yeah.
Yep.
Then Alex asks Kai why she's showing him like this particular street. And Kai says she doesn't believe his nerves are shot. And she watched him with Tio and at the beer house, and he has ice in his veins. And Alex is like,
Yeah,
do you
and
want a note from my
from my
doctor?
doctor, he gets so like sassy.
Oh, you good?
Yep.
But I think he's serious because he's like, I am not faking like this thing. Like I have a legit thing.
Yeah,
And
and
this
she
is when
says basically,
Kai,
she
this is when
says
she says it's not the arresting the guys that give him the shakes. It's what happens
it's that,
afterwards with the bureaucracy and the politics.
yeah, and she's basically saying like, yeah, I can relate to that. Like I
Like,
love being
I
a cop.
don't
I
care
love
about
getting
the
going after.
politics.
Yeah, like I could care less. I care about the people,
I care about the islands, the
especially the
people
people.
who live here, starting with these 5 blocks.
Yeah, and that was like heavy. She's like, yeah, I care about the people. That's why I became a cop, was
Yeah, it's I
to
care
help
about the
people. And
people
I'm
and I
like,
care about the islands. Yeah.
yeah, it's like that right there. We need more people like that in this world,
We do.
instead of people who are more worried about political agendas and stuff like that, who are like even cops who are more concerned about putting up a false front than helping people.
And like Alex takes that all in for a minute and he's like, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. And he ends up walking away.
And that
And then,
interaction between Christian and Sam, that scene right there where he's like trying to say that I can't do this because I don't want to face that downslide of after the adrenaline. I don't think I could do it. And she almost looked hurt when he walked away.
yeah.
Like she was expecting him to say, okay, I'll help. But when that didn't come, she felt, I could see it in her eyes that she felt like he had betrayed her.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, oh man.
Yeah. And as I said earlier, like it's not that Alex doesn't it's not that he doesn't care about people, or else he wouldn't have become a DEA agent and he wouldn't have said, because in his speech to Kai, he says like, like, are there fewer drugs out on the street? Like, are there fewer people addicted? Like he cares about, like that's what he cared about, was like getting the drugs off the streets so that so there would be less out there, so that less people would get addicted to these drugs. And then like he also said about like the whole cycle and kind of went into all this already. But like that's just more proof that it's not that he doesn't care about people, it's he doesn't care about the politics and the bureaucracy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Continuing on, we see Alex sitting at the beach and he has like wet sand in his hand. And Ernesto sits beside Alex and says he does that too. I was like, do what? And Ernesto's like, ask the ocean for advice, guidance. Now Alex asks if that's what he thinks he's doing. And Ernesto says he thinks Alex should come back to this island because he was looking for something he desperately needed. Alex asks like what that is. And Ernesto says Mabuhay. He tells Alex to breathe it in, and it's all around him and everywhere he looks.
Yeah, and that phrase again means like the good life, and also kind of like peace and relaxation, pretty much, and just serenity is what I think it means. In this and for Alex as the character, he's like, he went from chaos and crazy to wanting to find peace and relaxation. But the
His
thing is,
body
the way that he
can't
tried,
handle the relaxation.
yeah. So he has to find serenity in the chaos, pretty much.
Yeah. Then Kai comes and sits beside him and she has a cup of coffee and asks Alex what they're doing. And she gives him the coffee. And Alex says it's just these guys with the DEA, Interpol. They aren't like them as they're cops, and somebody breaks the law, they go get them. And these guys haven't been cops for a long time, and they're soldiers in a fog of war. And the only thing that is clear is who's alive and who's dead.
Yeah, and that
She makes me think of that Doctor Who quote, the 12s, or the 12 Doctors.
Yeah.
War speech.
Yeah, I just can't remember the full thing off the top of my head, but
I kind of do. But
yeah,
basically, short versions, the speech is basically the idea that whoever fires the first shot, no matter how right you feel, you don't know who's going to end up. Like, you don't know whose children are going to be screaming, you don't know who's going to be dead, and you don't know, like, what's going to happen, and you don't know how many lives are going to be ruined. And eventually, like, the war will keep going until the only thing that is left is to just sit down and talk.
Yeah, and it's like, basically, it's like if you're, the way that I think of it is, I've heard this from another, I think it was in a book or something. It's like, if you're guiltless, cast the first stone, and no one does. It's like, see, you're not free to pass judgment on somebody else because of what they've done, because you're just as guilty as they are. You're just as broken, except for when you try to change your ways, then can you do what I just asked you to do? And that's kind of what also was playing through here. It's like, he's like, I'm not guilt free. I've done things that I probably should have done that I didn't do, and I have that guilt in my heart. I'm talking about Alex here. It's like, I've got guilt in my heart from the things that I should have done back then that I didn't do,
or the things
and
that
this
I
is where it's gotten
me.
Yeah, it's like, I did things that I should have done differently, and chose to follow somebody's lead that I shouldn't have, and that this is where it's gotten me. And that's what I thought of, and I'm like, that is true for what he's going through right now.
And Kai asks, like, so we do nothing? So do nothing. Now it says he's gonna hate himself in the morning. And takes a sip of coffee. So we see Alex in the van getting the wire in, like, the surveillance van, getting like the wire hooked up, and he's like rebuttoning his shirt. Civic hands him a comm, asking Alex if he's gonna screw this up and have another one of his episodes. And Alex put the comm in, and it's like, your faith in me is overwhelming.
He's so sarcastic.
He is. And then another agent says that Tio is there, and Civic says, there we go. So Civic gets a briefcase of cash and tells Alex to show him what he's got. Then Alex freaking winks and leaves.
Yeah, and I didn't catch that wink at first. I just thought he nodded his head at him, which he does. He nods his head and winks at him just to annoy him, and I didn't catch that at first.
That, and I think it's more of like, oh, I'm about to show you what I got, because you good?
Yeah.
Jesus,
Okay, now
okay.
sorry, it's my allergies.
Uh,
So my throat's irritated from that. So yeah,
mm.
but it's like that little like act of rebellion of him winking at him at Zivik was like him poking the bear, and I'm like, dude,
Well,
you're gonna
that
get a
and also be
repercussion
like,
from
yeah,
that.
I'm about to show you what I got because I'm about to fuck up your own op. You okay?
Sorry about that. Oh man,
Okay.
I literally just took a breath in, and my body said, "Oh, I'm gonna reject the air."
So, yeah, Alex, so continuing on. Alex then leaves and Zero falls behind and checks in with the other teams. Alex gets in the car and Civic goes up to Window and is like, how's the anxiety? Alex just freaking drives off. You okay? Then Civic goes back in the van and starts his sound check. And they confirm the comms working. And Civic reminds Alex the code word is avocado and to not say it until he's accepted the money and Alex can confirm the drugs he's handing him are real. And if they hear the code word, they'll execute an ingress. Alex is taking off his wire.
Yeah, he's taking it off as he says, yeah, I get
Like,
it. And then
like,
just puts it in
I
the
got
seat.
it. Because the code word's avocado. Keep that in mind.
And I'm like,
that comes into play.
That's so random, but so funny.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing my rewatch, for this, you know what popped into my head? Elliot, his code word.
Oh, Winnebago.
Yep.
I still, because Elliot's face after he says Winnebago, I'm pretty sure that's his actual safe word. Because
like,
I'm sorry, that face, he was like, what? Did I just say that?
And then the look Parker and Harrison give him was hilarious. I'm like,
yeah, because she's just like, oh, and just freaking smacks him. It's like,
it's like, stop.
Like, damn it,
and that makes me
not again.
Yeah, that was funny. And I'm like, and then my mind, as soon as I thought that in my head, I was like, ooh, maybe that's Ellie's actual safe word. I'm like, why did my brain get so kinky?
Oh, trust me, that my brain goes that way all the time.
And it's hilarious, but avocado is probably like the funniest code word I think I've ever heard.
It is. And then it was Alex arrives to the warehouse and he reaches in the back to like get the briefcase and his hand starts shaking. And then he just kind of like runs a bit, grabs the briefcase and kind of gets out. And
the funny thing, yeah, and then when we get a glance at the seat, the passenger seat, we had his phone.
Not yet.
Yeah, but like
we do get to there.
There's something left behind that we don't see on the seat, but like there's something there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're forgetting something, aren't you? And I just in the background of my mind, I'm thinking like there's something missing, but I didn't know what at the time. And then he just gets out and just basically sprints into the warehouse.
Yeah, basically inside the warehouse. Funny. Tia's guys are making drugs, and Alex walks in and you get like two goons follow behind him, two goons with guns. And Tia's like, I trust that what's in that case won't disappoint me. And Alex stays silent. And they meet in the middle, and a goon grabs the briefcase, and Tia was like questions Alex's silence. And Alex tells Tio it's a trap, which pisses Tio off as guns are drawn.
And the goons point like, what? How many guns were there? Like 5? pointed at him,
At least 5, if not more.
including Teo at this point.
Yeah, because Teo's like, you set me up. And I was like, I did. You're surrounded by U.S. agents, Interpol, and local police, and they knew he was meeting with them and forced him to collect evidence on him in the so far dozen guys surrounding the building. Then Teo orders the goon to search Alex, and Alex is like, I ripped off the wire before I came in. So far, they've got nothing on you, and if you listen to me and do what I tell you, they won't.
And it's like, also, get that freaking gun out of my face.
Yeah, that's in a minute, but basically. And Teo,
Yeah.
Goon says that is clean, and then Teo points his gun at Alex, and it's like, Teo, gotta learn to reset your default settings from kill everybody to take a deep breath. And Teo talks about it, and Alex like, think it through. Like, Teo, think it through. Either I'm on your side, and in that case, I'm your only shot you've got of getting out of here, or I'm a DEA agent, and you shooting me would destroy any chance you have of making any deals you know you're gonna get offered. But either way, get that gun out of my freaking gun out of my face.
And he kind of like, and it's like, how did they not jump in when he did that? But that's impressive.
I think they did. I mean, I would have jumped.
Yeah, the goons jumped, but Teo didn't even flinch. But he did lower the gun, but was staring Alex down like, I want to murder you, pretty much.
Yeah. What Teo does eventually lower his gun, so does his goons. And then Ernesto walks up to one of these teams and is like, hey, why don't you spot into the radio? Like, Zivic's pissed. And Ernesto then grabs one of the walkies and it's like, you're on the wrong damn channel. And Zivic says they're about to exit on the east side, and he wants them there to back up the team there. And the guy kind of gets in Ernesto's face. It's like, I've got to confirm with Civic. And Ernesto's like, yeah, you do that. And while you're at it, tell them why you're on the wrong channel.
Yeah, and he's just like so calm about it too. And I'm like, that's kind of funny.
I like Ernesto.
The fact that he was so blunt with them, but also at the same time, I'm kind of chuckling at the cops too for being pretty much, they were actually on the wrong frequency too, which was hilarious. And then they're just standing around not doing anything. I'm like, oh, you guys must be rookie cops. You got to be new. You got to be fresh off like the academy, pretty much, because you wouldn't know how to run an op.
But I'm also wondering is if like Kai and Ernesto or Alex even, if one of them like switched over the comms before like the op started, or if they switched over the frequency on the walkies.
Yeah, probably.
After the sound check.
I think that would have been kind of funny because it would
hear anything, which would be the excuse for Ernesto to go and be like, hey, like, go check on these guys.
Okay, so what I noticed when he grabbed one of the walkies from one of the other cops, he had his thumb up by the channel knob.
So, or he even just probably slightly like, turned it.
Yeah, he just barely
grabbed it.
No, when he grabbed it, he moved his hand and it moved the knob. I saw.
Oh,
so he moved the channel. He switched the channel. I saw it, but it was very subtle, which I thought was kind of funny.
Another guy sort of questions this, and Ernesto points out, it's like, nothing's happening here. It's like, Civic's got me and the local PD covering. But hurry, they're about to move. And they go to leave, and Ernesto has a bit of a smile once they leave.
Yeah, he was just like smirking. I'm like, you did that on purpose, you little butt.
Yeah,
why?
Because then
then it clicked. I'm like, oh. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, we see back at the van, we hear like this random conversation. We hear it's Alex having the conversation, and it's unconscious. It's some story about Pablo Escobar. And Civic's like, does he ever shut up?
And then
And
it
this is
kind of
when we see the
it
shot
clicked.
from inside the car, and we have the wires on the seat, and Alex's phone is playing a recording.
Yep. And then
And we see, and it's at the warehouse. Alex has like most of the men like destroying the drugs, and then gets Tio and his boys to get inside this like big black Jeep, and Alex tells Tio to hold on, and they drive through the warehouse doors. At the van agent kind of asks like, what was that? So it was panic, but here's the conversation. It seems like Alex is setting up to say the code word, so he lets it go.
yeah, and then right before the code word, what happens? The recording stops.
Yeah, and it switches to meditation tapes. Meditation tape. And then Civic orders his men to go inside, and they all storm the place, and they find it messed up, but no drugs. And there's an avocado on the table.
And I thought that was funny too. I'm like,
I thought that was
really?
funny too.
And it was hilarious. I'm like, you got played.
You did. And then Alex and Tio arrive at the boat, and they like run on the boat. Tio orders for the anchor to be raised and for the engines to be started, and they'll dump the body when they're out of the bay. No, it's like, yeah, that's not going to be suspicious. Iceberg floating in Cebu Bay with the body in it. She's like, you're not going to have to worry about it because you'll be floating right with them. Then points his gun again at Alex. Alex like, I'm getting sick and tired of this. I just saved your ass. Feels like you set me up. You're a liability. You can't be trusted. And I was like, what you gonna do? Stick me in the life sculpture next to the dead guy your goons killed? He was like, no. Oh no. I killed him with a nice hook to the heart, and I could feel his life leave his body through my hands. And now you're next. Goodbye, Mr. Walker. Then Kai appears like a badass behind Dio, and like puts her gun to his head and says, on this island, we say Pa'alam. I think that's how you say
And
it.
then Ernesto pops up and says
He just
it.
freaking jumps from the roof.
And I thought that
So
was funny,
once
but
again, it's
also
like,
really cool.
Pa'alam.
And then Alex looks over at Ernesto like, oh, now you show up?
Show up. And Kai orders them to lower their weapons. Ernesto repeats the order. Then Kai tells Tio he's under arrest for the murder of Kobe Rodriguez. And Kai replays the confession on her phone. Alex kind of shrugs, and then freaking Tio punches him, and he runs. Ernesto and Kai get into fights, but they're
Trying
goons.
to stop the goons from going after.
Alex like gets two goons off of him and chases after Tio.
And then I wrote that he like when he dives into the water.
Yeah.
That was like really awesome. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
And Alex ends up choking Tio out and gets him to the surface. And then everyone's getting in cop cars. Campo's speaking to the press. And then Civic runs over. And Alex like, he's pretty charismatic in front of the camera. And Civic's like, this won't stand. Like, this is a multinational narcotics bust. So Tio's coming with me. And Alex is like, narcotics? I didn't see any narcotics. Did you see any narcotics? No. It's a murder rap. It says local jurisdiction. There's nothing that you can do about it. Because if it's like, I'm gonna bring you up on charges.
And then
Compass,
Ocampo
like,
decides to walk over and he's like, I don't appreciate you threatening him on while he's a guest on our island.
Like,
and he kind of like defends him and he's
yeah.
like,
And
and Alex like
Zivic's,
smiled
yeah.
at that.
And Zivic, this is when Zivic threatens his disability pay. And then gets in Alex's face saying he's got him in his crosshairs. Then looks at Zivic and is like, you look really stressed out. It's not healthy. You should have that checked out.
And he
And
just gets
Civic,
annoyed and
it's
just
funny,
gets
Civic
annoyed and
looks
walks
at him
off.
for a minute. And then just freaking walks off like, I got nothing. Fuck you.
He's like,
I'm leaving.
I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah.
And then just walks off. And
Yeah.
then it cuts to
Night.
Alex.
And Alex is
Yeah,
fixing up the gift shop. The light in the gift
yeah.
shop.
He finally gets the light to come on.
Yeah. And Cod
And he
comes
gets like,
in.
he gets so happy when that happened. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's adorable. And then
It's like-
Kai walks in and he kind of like, his face kind of falls a little bit. But he smiles at her.
Yes.
And he's like, because she says, oh, it's looking good in here. And he's like, it is, isn't it? He's kind of
No,
proud of himself.
thank you. Like, you should have paid more attention to shop class in high school, but she's coming along. And Kai asks Alex if he's hungry and if he can take a break. Alex like, yeah, I could eat. And then Kai leads him outside, where there's a huge gathering of people, the dancers. There's food and multiple long tables. And then Ernesto has like a couple coconuts in hand and is like yelling like, attention everyone, your attention please. And introduces Alex to everyone. And then Alex got this like white long sleeve like button up over him.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
gets
he's handed
swarmed
a
by a bunch of
coconut.
little kids. He
Yeah,
gets swarmed by a bunch of little kids, and that was
it
adorable.
does. It was. Alex is like, what's going on? Because like you said, they never threw you a parade. Here it is. And then like the kids lead Alex to a chair where like Kai sits across from him and Ernesto sits beside him. I was like, I don't understand. Because like 5 blocks, Alex.
These are the people that live there.
Yeah, these are the people who live
that
there.
you help.
And these are the
Basically, is
people
what
he
he
helped
says.
today. Yeah.
And that
And they
was
sit
like
down.
her prideful smile was so sweet.
Yeah.
When she said that.
And like Alex is like, what is this? And this is like Mabuhay, Agent Walker. Pure Mabuhay. And they toast and drink.
And his like, yeah, he like
He's so
takes a
cute,
drink
like drinking out of his coconut.
the funny thing is that the straw went sideways when he went to drink, and he's like takes it down, and the smile that he had. And I wrote, it's like the party they threw at the end in his face, and then like adorable, and then I wrote CK's face got so red because he was blushing.
Well, he got his like parade though.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh. And then it cuts to a black screen. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that was so cute. That was an adorable episode.
It was. It does kind of set up though everyone's like motivations. Like Campo is very much like press heavy. You got Ernesto who has a genuine like care for the people.
And then Kai as well cares
like
for the people and
want to help people, yeah.
And it's personal for her too.
Yeah. And Alex, you know, how you can tell he's like burnt out, he's tired, and he's like come to this island to like sort of repair himself and like rest.
And also it's kind of escape from the failure that he feels like he did to get where he is now.
Like his,
yeah. For not noticing that his partner was gonna betray him, pretty much.
Yeah, with that, and also probably about having people probably that he's arrested go free.
Yeah, pretty much.
And anything with that, and just how he wants to, like, I think, do better, but also he wants to help people and make sure that he can, like, that he stays helping people.
Yeah,
He gets a chance to rest too.
Yeah, to be able to like be on the right side of the law for once and actually do good.
Side, but also like make sure he actually like gets wins this time.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed the writing for that episode. It was
I did
really
too. Kane's just an amazing actor. Like facial expressions are the big thing.
Yeah, and it just kind of sold the mosaic of who Alex Walker is as a character.
Not between like the lip quivering, like when Zivic, he's like before he tells Zivic he like wants a clean record, and then his like his like
shaky hands
face when he
just like
realizes the parade's for him.
Yeah.
And just the light when he's like taking it like a drink of his coconut.
And he's just like, that shows you how good of an actor Christian actually really is, because he can go from vulnerable, emotional, sad to happy.
Smart ass.
Pretty much like that. Yeah, pretty much.
And you could kind of tell that Alex is like different from Elliot.
Because Alex still has that, he's got his humanity still.
He still is
what I thought of. Compared to Elliot, where Elliot doesn't have his humanity anymore, but he's gaining it back. He lost his heart, but
he's trying to get it back.
Yeah, like what Christian said, Ellie's the Tin Man. He's looking for a heart, but it's unattainable. But with Alex, he's got his heart still. He's
you just sort of lost his spirit.
He's like Dorothy looking for home, pretty much.
Well, that,
looking for a way back home.
Yeah, he also he lost his spirit a bit. Like his spirit got so broken, like watching all these bad people go free and seeing all his like hard work and all this work that he put in to ultimately be for nothing. That would break your spirit.
Yeah, and it would just break your hope of fixing the system.
Like Elliot
kind of just was in a broken, kind of adapted.
Like more broken soul, I would say.
Yeah, his heart, it's broken. He needs a new one, but he's got that tough tin exterior that is barricading his woundedness and protecting his wounds from getting more damage. But with Alex, it's the opposite.
Everything's on the surface and he's trying to repair what's on the inside.
But on the inside, it's not moving much.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought of. I'm like, he's the opposite of Elliot.
Like they have like
more of a they're wounded.
Both are broken people, but they're broken for different reasons.
Broken in different ways.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool to think of that way. And that was partially to Christian explaining that, of like how Elliot's broken. And we can see how Alex is broken. And see how it's different. But I thought it was really cool. So yeah, my favorite episode is like 3 episodes later.
Yeah, Pistol. Right. Is it like Pistol Whip's your favorite episode, right?
Yes, no, and also Something Walker This Way Comes.
Something Walker This Way Comes, which is the season 1 finale. Because you're getting a season 2 of Almost Paradise.
And I legit flipped when I heard that.
I know. I love the video. I just love the video because it shows the video that it was posted on both, I think it was both Twitter and Instagram, but the video basically shows like Christian looking at like the poster for Almost Paradise, and he's of course wearing the beanie because boy doesn't know how to freaking dress himself.
And then Sam walks up.
Sam walks in and he's like, "Hey, how are ya? Like it's been so long. Like how you doing?"
And they hug, and I'm like, "Oh, that's adorable."
And they're like, "Man, was that fun? Like Almost Paradise, like, was that fun?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's a shame you only got like one season though." It's like, "Yeah, I'd love to go back to that." And then freaking Dean Devlin walks in. He's like, "Good news! Our friends at IMDb TV just picked this up. We're getting the second season." It's
They
now
both
Amazon
looked at him
Freevee.
shocked.
It's now Amazon Freevee, but at the time it was IMDb TV. And they're like,
And they
and
were
then
like
Alex,
shocked.
or no, Sam and Christian look at each other like, "What?"
And they like lit up.
And then
And I'm
run, chasing after Dean.
yeah. And it was like, "Wait, what?"
I always say
And
that's equivalent to like Dad being like, "Hey, go get your shoes on. We're gonna go to McDonald's."
or no,
We'd
we're
be
gonna go
like,
get ice
"What?
cream. And the
We're
kids
going
are
to
like, "Wait, what is
McDonald's?"
that?" Like, where we're going? And they run after him, and I'm like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Wait, where's the middle child?"
No.
And oh, that brings up when I mentioned that, I'm like, I brought up the family dynamic again.
Yeah.
I compared it, and then I tweeted that to Dean, and he's like, "I make
Like,
family entertainment," and with a winky face, and I'm like,
"Your mother."
did you just do that? And then I'm like, "Great, you broke me."
Yeah.
And you called him out on it too.
I
He's like,
did
"Stop
call
breaking
him
my
out
friend." And I'm
because you
like,
texted me saying you had gotten broken.
yep. And I was literally on the floor laughing when that happened, when I got that notification. I'm like,
We
well,
may
I
have
just
done
got
that on
broken.
more than one occasion.
Yeah, 3 times to be exact. And then Fred Curry, who did the music for Almost Paradise, who's the guitarist for a band called Cinderella, by the way.
Wait, he's the guitarist for Cinderella?
Yeah. And he broke me too. He liked a couple of my tweets, and I said, "I love this music," and he's like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Oh my god, okay, I can't breathe."
Because I had last Halloween, I had posted a picture because I had carved pumpkins, and the one pumpkin I carved, I more like painted the Leverage Redemption logo on it. And then I like carved it and took a picture of it, posted on Twitter. And the guy who played the Judge Clark, Judge Clark in the Leverage Redemption episode, The Jackal Job. He
Right, I saw
he
that.
replied back saying that it looked good.
And I'm like, she probably freaked out. And I bet you did, didn't you?
I did freak out.
But yeah, like the fact that
And I've had Dean Devlin like a lot of my tweets and Amazon Free, like a bunch of my stuff, and reply back.
I'm like, I've had Amazon Free like
because I think that
like
at this
mess
point
with
we're besties.
me.
Yeah,
they like, and they I'm like, I mentioned something about, oh, my internet bestie Kaylee gets a GIF reaction and I don't, and it's like, "Oh, we got a perfect one for you," and they did the hair flipping one with the night episode.
Oh, the card
where
game
he
dog.
where he stabs it
Elliot.
down and flips his
That's
hair, and I'm
Elliot. Him in the freaking
like,
knight in knight armor.
Yep, and I was broken, but yeah,
Golden
they
hour.
do that all the time now.
Well, like the rays shining through his luscious locks and
then
freaking armor.
And then recently I tweeted something at them, and it was like, it's very distinctive, and they was like, "Hey, can we," they messaged me saying, "Hey, can we use this?" And they quoted my tweet. I'm like, And I didn't really, I was too stunned to even reply. I didn't
My
reply to
last
them. I was
one
like, I just didn't know what to say.
was
They broke me.
or 3 days ago, Amazon Free asked like who's your favorite character from a Freebie original show and why. And I tweeted back and I replied saying, I think you know me well enough to know my answer. And it was that hair flip gif. They're like, we can't blame you with hard eyes.
And yeah, and I was like Elliot freaking Spencer, and I did the baseball scene with him like doing his like little hair flip back with the fluffy hair, and I'm like, he's very distinctive, and they copied that. I literally started laughing. I'm like,
when
no.
I shared on Twitter the last leverage podcast we did for the homecoming job, and I said, and as always, and I said, and I tweeted at the end, as always when Alex and I are talking about leverage, chaos ensues, and you were like, shh, don't tell them about the shenanigans. I was like, the shenanigans are obvious, and you said, don't make me Elliot eyes you.
And then you like didn't like do anything, and then I did it anyway.
Yeah, you did. And and then when I tweeted your let's go steal a TV show tagged Devlin.
Yep. And I was like, how dare you? Don't do that. And he's like, it's too late. And that right there, that little interaction was like, me, why did you do that? It's like, yeah, it's too late. And I'm like, and I thought, it's like, oh no, that's Elliot and Quinn going back and forth.
We both very regularly to each other will text each other back like, damn it, woman.
Yep. And I'm like, we're each other's Elliot and Hardison.
Yeah, because I tagged Dean Devlin in it and like my tweet about it, and I said, and I added thing on saying like, actually I should say me and Alex are able to come down to NOLA. And because Dean liked the tweet.
And I saw that, and then he liked your response
like,
to that. It's like, actually, wait a minute.
For that.
And I'm like,
that was what you tweeted.
Yeah.
And then you were like, probably not cool. You don't ignore it. She just wanted fun to crazy.
But yeah, I want to know if, like, I know for a fact CK saw that. I want to know what he was thinking.
Then, sorry, I'm now looking at my freaking mentions on Twitter.
But yeah, I've been mentioned and like talked to with Dean and a friend Corey several times.
Yeah.
And then a former cast member of NCIS New Orleans, Daryl Chill Mitchell, like tweeted back to me after I mentioned him, like replying to him, asking him a question, and because he was on The Walking Dead and I didn't know it, and I was like, hey, is the cast like as nice as like I've heard? And he's like, yeah, even nicer. And I'm like,
wait, which actor was this?
He plays Patton on NCIS New Orleans. He's the guy in the wheelchair. If you've ever watched NCIS.
Who did play on The Walking Dead?
I don't remember the character name, but I just like saw him tweet that, and I'm like, it was from like a memory or something, but I can't remember. It was like it was a side character, and I asked him a thing. It's like, were they as nice as like they seem? And he's like, oh yeah, it's like there's nothing but family. And I'm like, did you just do that? And then to make it even better, the lady who plays Loretta Wade, Emmy, liked that, and I literally like was squealing, like laughing so hard. But yeah, I've been broken several times, and then
I have too.
and then on Instagram, Clayne Crawford like freaking responded to me like twice.
Ah,
Do you remember that?
I think I do, yeah.
And I was thinking mentally, it's like, damn it, Queen, you just broke me. How dare you?
I've had Amazon free respond to stuff I've tweeted. Yeah,
And it's hilarious when
it
it
is.
happens. Because I
It
don't
usually
expect it to
happens
happen.
because you will text me in all caps, OMG.
Yeah, me freaking out. And then you're
And
like, you're just so
who is
calm
it
about it.
this
And then 20
time?
seconds later, it happens to you. And I'm like,
Who was it this time? Then usually
you're just
20
so
minutes later
calm.
it does happen to me because then I tweet saying like
Yeah, and then
it's
you
like,
text me saying the same thing, freaking out. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, you just got revenge for what you said to me earlier.
I know.
Sucker.
Serious. This is like our general conversation to go is either like one of us will say something and the other one's like texting in all caps, damn it, woman. One of us is threatening to do the Elliot eyes.
Yeah. Or I do I send you the meme of the Elliot eyes.
You
do
send
that
me
thing with
the
your eyes that scares
Elliot eyes,
people.
yeah.
And then you do it to me. You did it to me twice one time. And I was like,
did.
okay,
I
I
didn't
literally
do it.
squirmed. I squirmed. I was uncomfortable. I was like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable. It's like, well, you deserve that.
No, because I think you freaking called me out. Because
yeah,
it was like
I
when
was
you
kind
did
of
like the
asking for
OT3,
it.
it was like
I was kind of asking for it.
IMDb was like Hardison. You were Elliot and I was Parker or something.
Yep, and I was like, oh, I kind of deserve that.
And they tweeted back like the dream team.
Yeah, and I was literally dying laughing.
It's like, oh my god.
It's like, what did you do? And I'm like, hey, don't blame me. I just called as I saw it. And that was my response.
So my favorite was probably when Dean Devlin wished me a happy birthday.
Oh.
His birthday was in January. He wished me a happy birthday. And I was freaking about it all day.
Yeah,
so
my favorite thing that Dean did was when I mentioned the family dynamic with OT3 and
you're like,
and then he's like, he responded, yeah, and he's like, I make family entertainment with a winky face. With a winky face, and I'm like, excuse you? The heck? But yeah, that was like the best thing because he actually took the time to reply to me.
Another funny one that happened is on TikTok. When it was still Amazon free, TikTok had posted a thing. It was like, for daylight savings time, it was like when you wake up for daylight savings time and it's still like, or whatever it said. And it was a clip from from the first episode of Leverage Redemption where they're all like leaning over Harry. And
looking down.
I stitched the video saying, I was like, just saying, I wouldn't mind waking up to that view. And they freaking commented on my stitch saying, we wouldn't mind that either. Well, because then I was freaking out because I have some very interesting videos on my TikTok. You know what I'm talking about, Alex.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about. So then I started panicking.
Yeah, do you remember do you remember the one where you're OC and then I duetted as Parker?
Oh yeah. Because it was so making a TikTok laughing. Where it was like it was like I think it was the audio from, is it the Big Bang Theory one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, she's so
did a video where
tiny.
it's like,
It's
I was
funny when
like,
she's mad.
hey, Elliot's telling me you two have been making fun of him all day, so you better apologize right now. And Fergus just go, she's so tiny, which is
And
you.
then Hardison goes, is like,
And then I have Hardison
it's
saying
funny
the
when
line
she's
like,
mad.
it's funny if she's mad. And then I run up screaming like, boy, you want to get your ass beat.
I was literally giggling so hard when that
I
happened.
was
When I
too
did the
making
Parker
it.
part. Now I want to go on TikTok and watch that again, just so I can laugh.
I might end up doing that before I go to bed because now I'm hyper and I gotta get up at 5:30 tomorrow.
Oh no.
It's almost midnight where I'm at.
It's almost 11 here.
So yeah, should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
Do you have any other final thoughts on this episode?
Let's just say that I'm looking forward to the next couple episodes because it gets interesting. But this was a cool episode.
I'm kind of excited to get to episode 3 so we can talk about Christian's bad Spanish accent.
I forgot about that. That's funny. But yeah.
You can hear the Texas drawl.
I know.
Come out every so often.
It comes out a little bit more. And then when he's mad, it comes out. And I'm like,
it does.
Adorable. It's adorable.
All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. To support, if you want to learn more about NAPCO, you can go to napco.org, which will be in the episode description. You can also follow, or you can also go on my website to not only check out my socials, but to also check out projects I'm working on. And you can also follow Alex on social media at.
Just search Alex Cooper on Twitter, and then I'm at Alex Cooper on Instagram too.
And you also leave a review and a rate on iTunes. And make sure to follow the podcast to know what we upload next. So the next episode, we're going to be talking about, Alex is actually going to come back on, and we're going to be talking the season 1, episode 3 of Leverage, the 2-horse job.
Yay.
Which is going to be just as chaotic as this was, if not more. Because, oh boy, is there some Elliot content. And you know what scene I'm talking about. And fair warning, I might just end up singing that episode. Because I can. Alright. That's all. So we'll see you in the next episode.